Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Homewrecker podcast. I am the Golden Greek, Alex Arion, joined as always by my beautiful, lovely, gorgeous, amazing trophy wife, the lovely Monique. Monique, how are you?
I am lovely. Thank you.
Yes, you.
As you said, I'm lovely, and I am. I'm feeling lovely.
Well, you are lovely.
Thank you.
So
Thank
you
you
should.
kindly.
Yes, yes. So what's new with you? What's going on?
I am still doing my hypnotherapy class, and I've been focusing on past life regression. And yes, I went into a past life today.
We should save that for another show, I think, because that's kind of a long story.
And it's a doozy.
It's yeah, and I'm gonna eventually gonna have you do that for me
Yes.
as well because I'm very curious what that would bring, what that would say, what that would show. Someday in the future,
Yes,
we'll
that'll come.
we'll share with everybody because I think that'll be very interesting. I think people might enjoy hearing about that, or
They
maybe
may.
not. I don't know. Maybe they wouldn't, but whatever.
It's okay. It's our show. We do what we want.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's it. So this week we actually had on a very, very great guest.
Yes.
And we talked to Dave J.
Yes. And before we jump into that, I just want to give a shout out to our friend Eyes on Twitter at AYZ, or as he says, AYZ. I love that. To our fam, we love you. If you're, well, we know you're listening. We love you, Eyes. He was the one who connected us together. And I think everything happens for a reason. And this.
Especially if I mean, not to cut you off, I'll have you go right back to where you were, but especially lately with synchronicities and a lot of people finding our show and everything else.
Now I'm questioning, is it Syncs or ESP?
Well, that we'll leave that up to everybody out there to make up their own mind. But go ahead.
I don't remember.
Eyes.
We love him. No, but
See,
yeah,
I shouldn't have cut you off. I'm
no,
sorry.
I just want to extend my gratitude. Because of him, we were able to create this link and gives us this episode. And I just want to put out there, we didn't even get to do an introduction once we started talking to him because we like to talk to people before we start recording and just
kind of a quick like, hey, how's it going? This is what we're going to be, how the show goes and everything like that. Just, kind of like a quick, make sure everything, can we ask about this? Can we not ask about anything? Just being, considerate to guests. Exactly. Just kind of give people, in case they have a guest, in case they haven't listened to the show before, just kind of tell them what we're about and that kind of thing. And usually a quick 5-10 minutes at the most, and then get into the interview.
Yeah, but we just started talking, and I'm thinking like, oh, okay, well, we can finish this and then we'll do the intro and maybe put this in. And I'm like, no, this is too good. This has to go in. So I'm like, oh, we'll move it in later. And we even like bring up at some point that, hey,
we did, I think it was like 15 or 20 minutes in. Well, we haven't done an intro.
It was just such a good conversation.
Yeah, thankfully we hit the record button right away, so we got everything. Yeah, but there's no official intro from us.
So we're just gonna kick in.
It just kind of goes talking. Right into talking.
But so it was just kind of like started with this little thing and it just grew, and the conversation kind of goes in different places, but
as conversations tend to do.
Yeah, but that's what I like. I like that it's because I don't like the whole structured interview and stuff like that. It's like, I just want to talk to people. And I know that's how you feel too, Alex. Just, we want to talk. We want to have a conversation. That's all.
And you get a pretty good sense, I think, when you hear the interview of what Dave J is about, what kind of person he is. And if you're watching, you'll be able to see. If you're just listening, I think it'll come through in his voice as well. But this is a guy that, regardless of what you feel about anything, this is a guy who, for sure, in my view, just from this short interaction that we had, and I say short, we talked about 2 hours, but this is a guy that it's just all love. It's all it's all a good. It's all there's no I don't know what the word is, but it's just love.
I felt so much love energy
Yeah.
coming from him. And yeah, it was just like, it was so beautiful. And so that's why, like, even like a lot of what he said resonated. I know it resonated with you, Alex. It
Yes.
resonated with me. And I think sometimes the wording, because I was thinking like, oh, our spiritual beliefs are a little different. And then I'm realizing it's like, it's just different words. He
Yeah.
uses the word Christ. I use the word source. So if you watch or listen to this episode, just go in and don't shut it down because of some of the words that's being used in terms of that connection, because there's a lot of great information that is given, a lot of good lessons. And you might, if you can do that and just have that openness and take in the message that he's giving and sharing, then I think that you'll be good. So, that's all I'm saying. If you're going to go in, because I think some people are just going to shut it down and not want to listen. And if that's your path, that's your journey, okay. But for those that do, and they get that kind of discomfort or that like, ugh, don't shut it down. Just, I ask, keep it going and just maybe substitute in your mind, like translate it, because the feeling was the same, at least for me. It was the same feeling, just different words. That's all. Different ways to explain it.
So I don't like to give trigger warnings because I feel like at this stage in my life, like if you're offended by anything I say or one of our guests says,
Then don't listen.
don't listen.
Don't listen.
So I'm not gonna. I don't like doing that. But like Monique said, the
We're just
word
trying to give you helpful hints.
we're just exactly
so you can enjoy the episode. And again, remember, the wonderful thing about us is we have free will. We have the power of choice. You can use a finger, you can use your nose, whatever part of your body you want, or even your voice to direct it, to stop it. You can hit stop if you don't want to listen.
That's it.
That's all.
That's it. Yeah.
But if you're still hanging around and you're still watching and or listening, we hope you enjoy this episode.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
without further ado, we'll get into it, and we'll be back after the interview to give some more thoughts.
Yeah.
So we hope you enjoy the conversation. Again, apologies. There's no actual official introduction like, hey, everybody, well, joining the Homewrecker podcast. Here's Dave J. None of that, because we just kind of started talking and we never stopped until we were done. So,
and we don't apologize for that.
Not at all. So without further ado, let's get to the conversation with Dave J.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
How are you?
Doing super. I hope my audio is good.
It sounds
good. Yeah, it's great. It's perfect.
Yeah, I'm using my wife's the one she uses when she walks.
Oh,
because
perfect.
it's the only one I have. I have this really nice USB one, but the thing it never works, so I just use this. So anyway.
You can hear us okay too?
I can hear you guys great. Monique, right?
Yes, I'm Monique and this is Alex.
I'm Alex.
Hi, Alex.
Nice to meet you, Dave.
Hey, nice to meet you as well.
Awesome. Yeah,
and you like
thanks so
being
much.
called Dave, right?
Yeah, Dave is good. Yeah.
Perfect. Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. So how long do we got you for?
As long as you need me.
Cool.
My time's unlimited.
We're pretty. We just have a conversation essentially. So we'll just I'll introduce you in a minute, like for the official show open, and then we'll just talk.
Yeah.
So, nothing's really off limits for us, I don't think.
Yeah. If there's anything.
No, absolutely nothing for me.
Okay. If there's anything like you want to talk about, maybe you haven't had a chance to bring up on other shows or anywhere, you can totally just say, hey, and I want to talk about this. And I'll be like, all right.
Yeah. Great.
No worries. Because I was going to say, it's I've been talking about this for a long time, and so it's kind of like I already know what I've said. So I'm wanting to hear what other people have heard, and really more not just what they heard, but what's going to be reflected out their mouth. Because it went in here. I want to know what they built with it, and then what they put out, and then I can work with that. So
makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool.
And we like to have conversations and sometimes go kind of philosophical,
but
we're not even trying to necessarily get an answer. It's just trying to explore the possibilities, I guess. So sometimes like that happens, and like sometimes like with guests, like everyone goes off track, but it stems from somewhere, but it's just an organic conversation. So there's no like, we have to stay on track and here are the questions and we're limited to this bit of time. We're just kind of go with the flow and see what happens.
Yeah, like I tell people, time is your only currency. It's the only time, really, this is the only time we can spend together, because you're going to often do other things and you're going to come into other spheres of influence. Other people are going to influence you. So I have this time together. In fact, see how this reminded me to get rid of it out of the room? So yeah, you just have to be with each other, the time that you're with each other. And then what I have to tell you is really just a seed, because my Father in heaven, who is Lord Jesus Christ, brings the rest. I'm just John, basically. I'm John's son. That's my last name. See how everything kind of works in this place. My last name's John's son, so I'm just making the way straight. And I've been doing that for a long time now. And just right now, though, people are getting to the point to where we're talking about this, maybe like line drawings and how math really works, numbers, that type of thing. And this is the stuff that I first did. This was the first the revelations that came to me. So when I prayed for everything, this is the stuff I got. So I drew all that stuff and I put all those videos out, and people are like, this guy's nuts. All right. So I said, okay, I better start with English, which is in fact the first language, by the way. And then I'm going to use English to put out that spell, which with the intent of telling the truth, which is love. Because if you love your neighbor, then you love yourself. That really is it. And that encompasses everything else. If you do that, you don't lie, you don't cheat, you don't steal, and you love your neighbor. By telling the truth, really, that's it. You win.
Yeah. And we can save this for the show, but it's so interesting with everything you said, because I think spiritually we don't align exactly, but I feel like the base is the same.
Go on. No. Sorry.
No,
I was just going to say, I just told a guy earlier, and very interesting, because what you're speaking about really boils down to opinion. And the truth does not regard itself with anyone's opinion, period.
Yeah.
So here's the thing about truth. It will be the truth regardless of anyone taking notice of it. All right. And it will be the truth even if everyone who notices it gets it wrong. It does not change its nature. So if each one of us speaks the truth, we are speaking the words of God, because that is the truth. If we speak a lie, that is the word of man, because all men are liars. Men, women. I always put WO men to always.
I'm not offended. I don't get offended.
Because I like to make sure that because offense is basically a fence. So it's now I've stopped learning, and I'm offended. So now you have to put the salve on me.
And it keeps you separated.
And I don't have time for that. So I'm going down that road straight, and you allowed yourself to be blocked by your own ego, your own offense.
Yeah.
And now you're way back there. And once you lose sight of me, I'm gone.
Yeah. Well, one of the things you said is the love. And that's one of the biggest things. It's like, I feel like we're all connected.
Yeah.
And even like, if there's somebody you don't like, you still should love them.
I should tell you. Yeah. And I was speaking, I'm not sure if you heard a little podcast. I started 2. And the second one I call it Sea Stories. And I currently went through a thing at work, and there's this guy, and let me tell you, he has the devil in him. It's a demon. And when I say that, you have to think of the word demon as the way of computing. Spell it like computing. All right. And within computing, a demon is a sub-program that runs on your computer that doesn't require you to interact with it, but it's always running. And what I call that is thoughts or memories or things that haunt you. So then when you're sitting there peacefully, all of a sudden you get this dark thought. Where'd that come from? And that is those demons haunting you. The demons are those underlying programs. And so what you have to do is, when you say, how do you clean your temple? You sweep all those demons out. You cast them out, all that. And what it is usually fear, regret. You did something and you never forgave yourself for it. Things like that, or amends you need to make. And once you do those, guess what? Those demons have no place to live. They're gone. And then your temple is clean. And guess what? Because God cannot enter a dirty temple. So if you're housing all those demons, and please think of it as the sub program that's always running. God will not enter a dirty temple. Therefore, these higher understandings, these higher truths, because there's the truth. All right. When you understand God, you stand under God. He will give to you the truth of the matter. He will not give you a serpent when you ask him for fish. Right. That's what that means. It means that I'm not. And what is a serpent but a sine wave? What is a sine wave but a sin? S-I-N with the E. What is the E but the senses? Right? Split the two, the concern becomes the V, the idea of the five, the senses. So then that's what you become. You become that S, right? That's why it's news with the S. I always add the S's because it's all those details. The devil's in the details, the H. And you, being the person who believes it, is that serpent who's eating your own tail. Think of the spelling of tail. Not only tail, but the idea of a story. So you consume the story and you keep, and guess what? You need more details or you're not going to be satisfied. So you get up in the middle of the night, bang out the computer. What's the latest on uppity squat? Whatever they're wasting people's time with.
Yeah.
Politics, all of that stuff.
Well,
That's
it seems like
yes.
it seems like human nature just loves a good story.
Human nature loves death. Let me tell you this. Human nature loves misery. It wants to see people in a worse condition that they feel that they're in, because then that makes them feel good. And then this place is nothing but death worship. Flags at half staff, constant memorabilia of mourning of people you don't know, people putting on their car in memory of whoever, as if I see that and now I'm supposed to, what are you trying to put me in a state of mourning? Because I'm not going to buy it.
Well, because we're told it's to respect them.
No, it's different than that, because they're trying to take my time. They don't deserve that. They do not deserve that, because they did not first ask me if I can bring you into that state. See, I'm willing to commune with you if you have something that's deep or something that's hurting you, but you have to ask me into that room, because if you just knocking into me, now I can't help but be brought into a state of mourning, and a state of mourning is death. You got to spell it the right way. Mourning. Yeah.
And we've talked about that before too. And like, we try not to say good morning. We try to say good day. We're trying to be more careful with our words. And I just want to bring up a couple points. You mentioned, and we're recording, so we can add this in.
Oh, yeah.
You mentioned understanding. And one of the things with understanding when it comes to man is like, I feel like people use it in an authoritative sense. And a lot of times, like, do you understand? And it's very authoritative. So I don't like to stand under men.
Right. Well, no one should.
I like to take it if it's like, is something I need, I like to take it in. So I like to call it understanding, because I'm allowing it to come inside of me and allow me to absorb that information.
I don't think that we're talking about we're talking about the same thing, because I told you don't stand under any man. And why when I say man,
because you said God.
Yeah,
and
God, if you cannot stand under your creator, then you have allowed yourself to become higher than your creator, and you became a fallen light or the Lucifer.
And I think that's where like you have to be careful of where the word is, because when it's with other people, it's one way, but with your creator, it's different.
Well, that's the whole thing though. And your creator or God is the truth. So therefore, if God is truth, then if I speak the truth, I'm speaking God's words. So you then go out and you don't take that man's word for it. You don't understand that man. You take what he said and test it. Because if it's the truth, it's going to be true. And it doesn't matter that man brought it to you. That present, that six, that cubed idea. And when I say, cube, people need to think of it like I'm presenting something to you. It's a dice. Think of a dice that has 6 sides. It has 8 corners. All right. So what's between the 6 and the 8? The 7, the mind, the Zion. So I'm presenting this idea to you. All right. You bring it in. That idea. Do you idolize it? Which is always the idea of the 9, the 6, 9 going into the idea of Cancer. Right. Yeah. That idea is going to kill you if you keep believing it, because it's a lie. Or if it's the truth, it does not lead you astray like that. It brings you to the completion. Right.
So what do you think about the people who, because we always say like so many people are so absolute about what they believe to be the truth.
Well, there is no belief of the truth. There is the truth or there's a lie. There's only one or the other. That's it. And it comes to what's called the split. Now, that's the idea of the two. Just remember that. When the two becomes that idea of the five or your senses, that is who you then idolize. That's who you become. Because where your mind is, your body follows. So if you spend your whole life believing in lies, let's say that there's space that man goes to, or you believe that people are out there on war, literally shooting at dudes down the field, that doesn't happen. That just doesn't happen. I don't care if that's what you believe is your truth. Your truth is a lie, and it will die with you. I'm just letting you know. And here's the thing, because like I say, truth does not regard itself with man's opinion at all, period. And we always have to remember that. Every time you walk up to something, you say, am I believing that, or am I idolizing that? That's what belief is. Am I idolizing that because I want it to be true, or did I actually test it? And by testing it, I mean try and break it. You have to try and break it.
So what you're
saying, the idols.
So to know if what you're feeling inside is the truth, you have to test it.
You have to, because if all you are doing is saying, I believe it, and therefore it is, you are a Lucifer. You are a fallen light inside your head that has not been tested. Do you see how they always assign it to like this little costume character?
Yeah.
It's not. It's everything's in here. It's all in here. And it's that duality. That's that whole idea of the 69.
Yeah. Well,
it's always on the scale. You're always putting yourself on the scale.
And I personally feel like it's us as people who are putting the chains around ourselves. It's not Satan, it's us.
No, but Satan is in you. You see what I'm saying? You've brought it into you. As soon as you accept a lie at any moment, Satan is inside of you lying to yourself. That's that little, think of it as I did a drawing once that I put the serpent up the spine. And I believe there's also other occultic drawings that do the same thing, because you live what's in your mind. Where your mind is, your body follows. And you can put yourself in the darkest moods so fast if you allow yourself to fall into that pit.
You're right about that.
You have the power. You have the power to say, stop, right? Stop. And that demon will run because you took control. But if you don't take control, that demon will send you down and it will take you for a ride. And that can last days and months sometimes, or even a few minutes. But if it's inopportune, let's say this happens. Let me tell you how this works. It works in this case. If this lie is inside of you, all right, and this lie needs to be activated at a time, all right. Let's say it's an inopportune time. Let's say you lose your patience, and this demon in the room, just think of it as this lie in the room comes out of you. That could cost you your job, a relationship. It can cost you a lot of things, only because it was for that split second. And people will say, well, that's not me. Well, no, it's not you, but it's what you allowed inside of you. See, that's what needs to be exercised out. Because have you ever seen people who are like mean people, but once in a while you catch a glimmer of something beautiful?
Sure. Yeah.
That's who they are. All right. But they're playing a character most of the time. And that's that ugly mask they wear.
And I agree with that, because I always somehow have the ability, I find the good in people. I find the beauty in people, because I'm more of like, I find the love inside. And sometimes it's not easy, but I find it. And so when you said that, it resonated with me, because I'm like, I know, even I think the worst of people, and I don't care what other people, if they agree with me or not, but I feel like there is good.
Well, there is, and that's what I say. And that's that when you see it in the eyes, because you're going to make eye contact with them, and there's going to be that spark, and you're going to know them. Because there's also something else that I've noticed. If you don't mind a quick story about when I was doing HempCon. All right, so I was doing HempCon. I used to have a cannabis business. I was one-man show. So basically, I took the pictures, I trimmed the bud, I advertised it. You called me, and I was the guy who dropped it off. Right, and I even helped you smoke it if you wanted to. Right, so anyways, I was doing HempCon, and there was one time where time just slowed down. All right, just for me, because my table was always booming, always somebody coming, but then a moment slowed down where there was nobody in front of me, and all the traffic was moving past me, but nobody coming to me. I looked up and I saw faces, I'm looking at your faces, and they're beautiful faces. I looked at their faces and I saw their beautiful face, but on top of that was a mask, and the mask was looking at me, but the person was walking the other way. You understand? So that the person was under the spell of this mask, and I could see it for that moment. And this moment, I can't tell you how long in real, in this time 1,000, 2,000 world. I can't tell you how long that lasted. But within the moment I was in, I looked and I saw several. That guy's okay. That person is very deep, because to me, how deep they are in the deception. Let's just call it deception, and that can, like, depression. That idea, deception, depression, pit. How far they are. The thicker the mask was, and it looked like gelatin. And I found that very interesting because I could tell. And this was early. Now this was maybe 2010 or so. And I really refined how to do it to where now I can hear it in people's tone. I can hear it in their voice. I can hear when the demon's trying to jump out and stop them from learning. Yeah.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. The only power the devil has, and when I say the devil, the lie, because think of it as from the one became two. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's that cleaving. So when you cleave the truth, if I cleave the truth, there's that split, the splinter, what became time, as it splintered into time, right? So if I cut it down the middle, it splinters into time, the 69, all right? The infinity loop. So we're all in these cycles. And you'll notice that people are in cycles even in their everyday life. Wake up, go to bed, do the same thing.
Sure, of course. Yeah.
And even like today, it was Boogie Board Friday, but the weather didn't cooperate, so I couldn't go. But I did go bowling earlier. Because on my Friday, I do bowling at lunch, because it only takes an hour. And then I go back to work. And then after work, I go by the beach because I live in Florida.
Okay.
And Boogie Board Friday. All right. But then today was postponed by the weather. But you see, that's all cycles too. Do you see? Everyone's in a cycle. All right. But then when you get caught though in a fallen cycle or a fallen loop, you get caught up in a crowd, bad people or whatever, influences.
Yeah.
Bad company does not become good manners, right? You know that. So then that's going to wear off on you. So the more you hang with that, the more you mirror that. All right. So then, so the more you mirror that, the deeper you become into the deception, right? So then the farther that split becomes, the farther the way, the narrow path becomes farther away to you in your mind. And how that manifests in thought is that, one, you believed yourself to be God. You quite frankly do. You deny Christ. You say, no, that can't be true. Therefore, I am. You are what? You're your own creator. So then I say, okay, why don't we do this in an experiment? Why don't you go into a room, nothing in it, just a bucket. And I want you to come out in 3 days. And I want you to show me your creation. Never mind, it's going to stink. None of us created this, obviously. So we can all get past that. We're all children of God. And some of us are just prodigal, meaning we're all running around. It's like herding cats. All right. Right. So it's like running around. So I'm just like I'm saying, I'm just the dude that's going down, making the way straight, just telling it like it is. All right. I'm telling it like it is. It, like the clown. Think of the movie It, clown.
Yeah.
It is the world. Remember when that Clinton character, and all politicians are clowns, by the way.
Oh, of course they are.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So you remember years ago when he said it depends on what the meaning of is.
Yeah, of
That's
course.
very true.
Yeah, I remember that.
Then years later, it comes back into the ISIS hoax. All right. Is hoax. All right. It depends on what the meaning of is. All right. The idea of what the metonic cycle is, the idea like the 19 cycle, that type of idea. It depends on what the cycle is. You can have a 19 cycle, a 17. 18, whatever. But then if you want to see the biggest changes, you look at the 19 cycle, which is kind of, people see it, they'll know it better as the 9/11 cycle. All right, they'll know it better as that. So most will associate that with the 9/11 towers, which is, of course, controlled demolition. Nobody died. Nobody
Yeah,
died.
I mean, come on. Anybody
Obviously.
believes otherwise now, come on.
Yeah. So then
Yeah.
what that is you have that idea. Now, we were talking before about one going into two, but now we're reversing it, because this thing is going into an metonic cycle. If you go out, you got to come back in. So the two down became the freedom tower up, the one up. All right. That's the idea of the biggest obelisk idea, because it's just a mirror of an obelisk. That's all that is. That junk that you got scattered, all of those fake hoax, the Vatican, the pyramids, the moon and sun pyramid down in Mexico, all a bunch of junk built around 1800.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's all junk built around 1800, late 17 into 1800. It's all junk. This time is not as long as you think it is. All right.
I have to ask,
Sure.
where did you get that information? This is my curiosity. I'm not saying you're wrong at all, but
well, what's interesting is I have videos on all this, just to take you down all these roads with me. You know how I know? Because I went down all these roads myself. I said, listen, because this is important. I forgot to introduce myself. I say, who is this guy?
Who are you, Dave J?
It's like, why I haven't listened to you? And
we just hit the ground running with conversation.
We didn't even get, right.
It's just so good. We're just like,
let's just go.
Yeah. So I was thinking, but people are thinking, well, who is this guy? Why should I even listen to him? I'll tell you who I am. I'm a dude that works in an old folks home. I repair ACs. I help push around wheelchairs. I fix their TVs, things like that. That's what I do. That's not who I am, but that's what I currently do. All right, to make enough to get by, because I've already rang the bell in my life. I worked in high tech for a long time. I worked at Western Digital and TDK. I made a lot of money. I had the big house, the 3 cars, the motorcycle. For some reason, you can only drive and ride one at a time. But I had all this stuff, all this stuff, and I was not happy at all. My wife, I got married to in 1988, I'm still pleasant with. She's right in the other room. Love of my life. Oh, she is gorgeous. By the way, it's her birthday. It was birthday the other day, 2 days ago. It's my cat's birthday today, because we got her and we didn't know when. So, and then mine's in 2 days. So mine's on the 18th. So it's kind of like we have this birthday week. So I extended the birthday into a whole week. So it's been fun.
Happy birthday to everyone.
Yeah, happy birthday for everybody. Yeah.
So I didn't, so then I'm sorry about where I was going, but
can I just stop for a second and say, I love how you speak about your wife, and it's like you light up and you can feel the love.
Yeah, it's great.
And I love that.
And the smile on your face too. It's like, it's awesome.
Oh, I love it.
Oh yeah,
I just want to hug you.
Oh yeah, it's the best thing ever. Oh yeah, I know I'm getting all hot and bothered now. So I just wanted to tell you what happened though, and why I'm so grateful to God for this, because I almost left her. I said, God, if you're real, you're going to show me everything. Because I lived my whole life knowing that nobody went to the moon. I knew that when I was a kid. That made me, that and not admitting to people dying in war. That had me relive the second grade twice, just so you know, in real life. So since the earliest age, this world's giving me trouble. And I said, I got to the point where I had all this money and I thought I made it, and I'm still not happy. So I said, okay, so that's obviously not right. And I said, so this must be it. I just got to do this, right? I'm done. That morning I went to sleep. I woke up, and I won't describe it because it wouldn't be even worth it, because it's something more than what I could say. I was brought to life. All right. I was reborn into Christ, and I sat up, and my wife was in the other room. She said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful with 2 L's, by the way. All right. Full. All right. And then I went downstairs and I called my friend Larry, best friend from school. All right. And then I called my friend Robert. So that's 3 witnesses. That's very important. All right. 2 or more witnesses, you know, to everything that's a truth. All right. So if I say something, test it. Then you say something, you test it, and then the third person tests it. Then together, then we present the truth to everyone to eat, right? To consume, and then they're brought into life. Thanksgiving. All right. So then I that happened, and let me tell you something. When I say I got everything, I mean everything, everything. So then it just had to. That was, you know, now what, almost a little over 10 years ago, and I'm still not done putting it out. In fact, I'm only to the point to I've only put out the small stuff, you know, the hors d'oeuvres, we'll call it, all right, because a lot of people, if they fight you on the world, like the earthly stuff, the stuff that's you can go outside and test yourself, yet they don't. They'll continue with you on that. Then they're not ready for the true meat, the spiritual meat, you know, because they can't even explain or witness to the ground they walk on. If you can't do that, then how do you even expect to go into the spiritual realm? You can't, because your feet are not clean. You don't even know where your feet are, you know?
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you one leads to the next. One leads to the next. It does, and it cannot be short circuited. That's why when people are scared of the word, and for the longest time I was that guy who knew Christ but denied him. Yeah, I'd say that. And but I knew the word. It was just in my heart. I knew it. Just people would say something. I knew if they weren't getting it right, even though I never read it, even though I never picked it up, you know. But I said, "Yeah, that doesn't sound right. You know, the tone wasn't right." So then so then I would look it up, and then I would say, okay, now when I read it, it's not about judgment in any way at all. Period. It's all lessons. It's all lessons. Right. It's all lessons.
Thank you.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's all
Thank you.
lessons.
Oh,
Every bit of it. And each I call them characters because it's a scripture for a reason, script.
Yeah.
And I'll go into the gematria side later about how to use it, how to decode like the stories that the world puts out. All right. When I say world, that's what's in people's mind. The earth is the trees and dirt and stuff like that. But the world's what's up in here. So, you know, what we call the news, NEWS, or directions, north, east, you know, west, south. It's all direction news. So anyways, so with that idea, I'm sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought.
We were talking about how what you did.
Okay.
And then, you know, how you got to essentially
Right.
figuring everything out.
Yeah, I was just kind of, well, I was kind of thinking because I thought outside and I thought of a leaf. And I said, man, you know, you can pick up a leaf and you can explain the plane of existence to people, the plane that we live on. In fact, speaking of our feet, which is deviations, it's a plane with deviations called depth and elevation.
Sure.
Or I could even define it better by saying it's a plane from sea level, sea level, 3 level. Now all the people at the 3 know what that's all about. Because you take the 33 and collapse them together, you get the 8. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The 33 onto the plane. That's why they always put it. It's the snakes on the plane. Get it? So yeah. So anyways, when that comes together, you move into the spiritual realm about, well, what does that mean? Let me take a leaf, and then a bee lands on your hand, and you say that bee's wing resembles this leaf, and it resembles that dry mud, right? So then I take up the dry mud, how it's cracked, and underneath all the cracked dry mud is a flat level plane, just like on the salt plains, the salt flats. So if you compare a bee's wing and the leaves, the veins on a leaf, to the salt flats, you'll see the same pattern. Yeah, because they're all representing the plane. They all fly onto the plane. The leaf hovers in the wind that's buffeted by the plane. The bee flies according to the plane, and the ground, of course, blesses the plane by showing it the truth of it. You know, it shows its own truth. All you got to do is peel back one little layer, you know, just that dried top, pop, pop, and you're like, that's flat. Right. Yeah.
I'm just like soaking in everything right now.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you're dropping knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why sometimes I like to say here at this level, because going into the world, you have to get into a bunch of sticky details, and that's what's to me is death. That's going back into death, and death is nothing more than bringing the mood of the room down. You notice? So when sometimes, let's say if you're in a party or in a room and you're having a great time relaxing, and somebody walks in and tries to bring the world in on you by bringing you news, brings the room down. And
It does.
everybody's like,
Oh yeah.
now, and I'm always the guy who, I don't say it out loud, but in my head, I'm thinking, and now this guy's thinking I'm supposed to react a certain way. And what happens if I don't react that way? Is he going to get mad at me? Right? And then that causes contention. Do you see how out of nothing a monster's built?
And I've brought that up before in the show, is like there have been times where something's happened and everyone's so devastated and I'm not. And I'm like, I feel like I'm supposed to be upset, like more like at the level, but I'm not. And I would pretend, because I felt like if I don't if I don't appear, like people are going to be like, what's wrong with you? Because we live in such a judgy world.
Check this out. Did you just said appeared, and basically I kind of said acted, but you appeared a certain way.
Yeah.
Now appearing Monique acting.
Exactly. It's an act. Because inside, I don't give a shit. I don't.
I don't either. That's the whole thing. I don't either.
Do you know how long it's taken me? Do you know how long it's taken me?
Yeah.
To finally, like, I feel like when I was younger, I was way more connected. And then you start changing and bending and being appearing to please people. And finally, you get to the point where it's like, no, I'm going to be who I am. And if you don't accept me for that, then it's your problem.
Yes.
And that's when I've started doing that. And we've started doing that. It's like, that's where we've really connected with people. And we've had these realer connections than I've felt before, because I felt like I couldn't connect before because I wasn't allowing me to be me. And like part of it is like, I'm really like, I love to hug people and I just love, and I used to get shit on for that. And it's like, it made me feel like I can't try to hug you because, that's not appropriate. And now I'm just like, I don't care. I'm hugging you. You need a hug.
Check this out. Remember we were talking about demons, the sub program? That's what was trying to stop you. Yeah. The world was trying to stop you from being you.
Yes.
And you finally said, you cast those demons out. You said, get going. Bye.
And that's when you were saying that, I was connecting to that because I was relating it to what I went through in life. Yeah. And I didn't like it, but I felt like it was almost like survival mode.
Right.
I was afraid.
And that's test. You were testing.
Yeah. And then finally I was like, I have to stop. Yeah. But it's so like freeing once you do that, because then you don't care. And you don't care what people say about you or what they think about you. It's just like, and I know, like, I'm not hurting anyone. Right. Being nice and kind and wanting to help people is, I don't want to get like ego involved, but it's just like, I don't think I'm causing harm to anyone. And that's not what I want. I just want to be happy, and I want to love and help and heal and do good things. And and I shouldn't have to hide that.
Yeah. People give too much power to the word evil, first and foremost. Evil is simply a lie. That's all it is. Simply a lie. Even a little white lies too. Because, hey, listen, if they put too much salt in the chicken, tell them this time so they fix it next time. Don't lie to them so they continue through their life over salting the chicken. You didn't do them any good.
Oh yeah, I love that. And just, that's why I've always been so big on just honesty and truth, and we try to instill that in our kids. And that's why. And I don't use the salt example, but I actually gave a similar example to my son the other day. I said, why I tell you these things is because I don't want you messing up later or upsetting somebody later. Just, I'm telling you the truth.
Because how do we learn?
If it hurts your feelings, that's not my intention. My intention is to save you pain later on.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think it's like, for me, I think it's important. Don't be mean about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't be condescending. Don't be rude. Just be honest.
Right.
Let me tell you what God had to break me of. And that was, I am very passionate. All right. Very passionate. But God instilled into me a much better sense of humor. All right. So you can be, because some people, you need to correct people back onto the path.
Yeah.
However, if you do it meanly, they despise you. If you do it
Right.
funny, they're like, yeah, I got you. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I was being a dummy.
I wonder if that's why currently there's so much censorship of comedians.
Yes. And I tell you, yes, 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 yes.
Because humor disarms people, and you can tell them the truth and
Right.
be funny about it. They'll be more willing to accept it, or at least think
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Even if they're not accepting, they're at least more open to it because they're in an environment where they're there to laugh. They're being told things that make them laugh, get their guard down a bit. And then like George Carlin was prime for that. He would,
Yeah,
get your guard down, but then he'd drop the truth on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he made you laugh while he did it.
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. To me, when comedy dies, basically the spirit of God dies. When comedy dies in this world, this place is gone to hell. All right, it's done. It's done. If you can't laugh, you might as well be in hell.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, there's so many expressions. It's like, if we can't laugh, we'd cry.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because it's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I just so you know, I love to laugh about stuff, and that's why you'll see when I take you down when we go down to Mexico, for example, when I take you down to Mexico to show you that junk and to show you how you can tell it's junk, we have fun doing it. Don't worry.
Great.
It's like it's a good time. Don't worry. And I think I even mentioned Simpson trying to build a barbecue. Remember when Homer Simpson tried to build a barbecue?
No.
And he dropped the instructions in the cement, and he's like, oh no. La grill? What is la grill? Yeah. Anyways, it's funny stuff. Yeah. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Okay, let's just put it that way. And you'll be calling it junk too.
So how did you get to that point where you were like you mentioned in second grade, you were questioning like the moon landing and then war.
Right.
How did you, what was going on in your, if you could remember back that far?
Absolutely. Absolutely. My dad's laying on a wedge couch. This was in the 70s. So the moon thing was big back then.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm walking from my room to the kitchen, and he's laying on he did it every evening after work, laid on the floor straight on this wedge pillow, watching the little TV at the time we had. And I walked by and I said, that looks like a movie set, because they were showing that stupid bouncy, the one everybody's seen. And I said,
we did an episode on it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I walked by and I said that, and I remember he just looked at me and then looked back. That was it. And that's in my head because I walked by, I'm still looking at him as I go into the kitchen because the door's right there. And then our height markers are right there. I just remember seeing them as I walked by. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's funny. I'm listening to you and I'm reminding myself, like, don't be like that as a parent. You know what I mean? And we do our best not to, but it's nice little like reminder lessons, like, just kind of further.
And you know what, at that age, when you hear them say something completely off the wall, so I'm gonna look into that.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, we tell our kids, it's okay to question.
Yeah.
It's okay to want to find out, like, because as it's happened to you, when you question things, you might get labeled, or you're kind of pushed, like people are condescending, or they just don't get it. It's not always the best reaction. Typically not the reaction you would want or hope for. And so for us, we homeschool our kids. So we want to make sure that our kids, yes, we're giving them information, but we're asking them, what do you think of that? what do you think with this information?
Right.
What questions do you have? Does it make sense to you? You know, because we want them to think.
Right.
And not just do what they're told.
Well, yeah, think and test. Like I say, think. If you
Yeah.
think, if you like, simply, let's just go back to the beginning. If you think something's true, test it. If you cannot prove it's true, get rid of it.
Yeah.
Because really, if you can't prove it's true, then why are you believing it? You're really your own worst enemy at that moment. Because one thing leads to another. We talked about that. One lie leads to the next. Because in order to support this lie, you're going to have to believe all these others, right? And going back to the 9/11, just remember the 9/11, the idea of the physical 9/11 is the two becoming one, but the spiritual 9/11 is two becoming one. Because when you leave Christ, or Christ is, think of Christ as light. That's what the Christ is the light, the idea of truth. You have the idea, the antichrist, which is his anti-light. If you want to, so you can take the little, I know people think if I say these words, sometimes people are conditioned for a cartoon character to pop up in their head, quite literally.
I was raised Catholic.
Yeah. So
and so it's kind of like
Catholics have destroyed more.
Oh my gosh. Can I tell you something?
Than,
I never felt any spirituality ever in church. Never. I didn't feel love. I didn't feel spirituality.
The Catholic Church, I have a video on the Vatican, by the way, you'll want to see. They have destroyed more minds. And in fact, when I'm speaking to a former Catholic, or especially if I went to Catholic school, my work's cut out for me. It really is.
Because it's programming.
Because they were put so deep into the hole. And not by by abuse, by child abuse, not by what they're putting out, with the diddling stuff. I'm just talking about the spiritual child abuse, by lying to you from the moment that you began schooling. What is schooling? But think of it as fish schooling. It's all just dragging people around.
Yeah.
And what happens with schools of fish? If there's a net nearby, whoop.
And I know I said homeschooling is funny because Alex and I have talked, and it's like we don't like that word school. So when we're like, it's time for school, it's more like time for learning.
Yeah, we just say it's time for learning, time for our daily lessons.
We're trying to be so conscious of the word.
We won't even use the word school anymore. We're trying really hard not to.
If you want to talk about how words have power, because all words are spells. Every word is a spell.
Yeah.
Because every word that we're speaking to each other is we're causing direction. Okay.
Yeah.
We're either causing attraction or we're causing it. I always have a problem with this word, repelling, right?
Yeah.
You understand.
Sure.
So I had a stutter as a child, which led me into not speaking much for a while, and once in a while it'll pop out again. So it's with certain words.
It's okay, because one of my running jokes is words are hard.
Yeah. So I was just about the stuttering thing, but then I talked about that in that one podcast as well. The stuttering, and how words are nothing more than syllables, basically just sounds put together to make ideas.
Right.
So anyway, so we're that far along. But if you want to do gematria, here's the way that this world works. If you want to look at the spirit of the word, all right, the tone of the word, just place that into a gematria calculator. Really, just use any one of them, and you'll get a number. Okay, you can go triple digit, double, or what I want to do, what I say is go down to the single digit. Because the Code of Creation, I think I might have told you about that. The book I wrote, Code of Creation, it breaks all. Okay.
I printed it out. I got it right here.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah,
Yes.
nice. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. It breaks it down to that. So, but then there's levels above that of complication. Remember in the introduction, I say everything above that's a complication.
Yes. Yeah.
So then let's go to the next layer. The next layer above that is called simple gematria. The next layer above that's called English gematria. The next layer above that's called Jewish gematria. All right. And I spell Jewish with a G, by the way, because I'm talking about Masons, all that type of crew. All right.
Okay.
The Catholics as well are the big G. All your royal type of houses are the big G. All that type of power structure is the big G.
Okay.
Right. So Jewish, because they basically all of their structure, all their governmental structure is based on the Jewish Talmud, basically. as far as their power structure, judgment all the way through, hell, all that. So then, if you want to look at what tone is being put out by their media, the Jewish media, you use that. If you're wanting to look at the English idea of the word, you use that gematria. If you're just looking for the simple, you use that. And if you're looking for the base code, you use what I showed you there. All right. But at each layer, you're able to describe it. And the higher you go, the bigger the explanation becomes. So Jewish gematria is going to usually give you a statement. Okay. All right. And the more you work it down, it's going to become a word or even just a few letters. But then with mine, it becomes a number. And each number has a specific meaning. All right. So if I add them together, right. And so that's how that works. That's just so you know, so you don't, because you shouldn't be falling for it because everyone knows that they're liars. And once a liar lies to you, you walk away, period.
Exactly.
So, period.
And again, we've said that like we put our trust in these people. We follow, we have this blind faith for these characters who lie to us, then they manipulate us. It's like an abusive relationship, and we just keep coming back for more. Like we got rid of cable years ago. I took the news app off my phone.
Yeah, me too.
Because
it drags you right into death again. Every morning, what's the first thing it tells you every morning? It tells you some crazy death story, right into the pit. So you get up, beautiful, right into the pit again. What was I thinking? You weren't. That's what.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
People have like an addiction to it. It's crazy.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. You said addiction. I'm not sure why this. You said you used to wrestle.
Yes.
You used to wrestle. I used to wrestle.
Oh, okay.
In high school.
Oh, okay. I didn't do the high school stuff.
Okay,
I did
the
fake stuff.
Oh, okay. I got you. But check this out. I had a perfect record.
Oh, nice.
I didn't win any of them. I came close once. But the whole reason was is because they didn't have anybody in my weight class. I was 115 pounds, and they said that you could be varsity. I said, okay, sure. So I went and I joined the team. I've never been hemmed up so many different ways in my life. And I tell you what, it was something else. But anyway, that just jumped in my head for some reason.
I thought if you didn't have an opponent, you automatically won. If you didn't have anyone in your weight category.
No, at the school it's a forfeit, but you don't win. That's not a win. You can't put a pin on your
That's true. Yeah, because I was like, I thought like you would get it, but
I don't even know if on the record, but no, you have to pin somebody to actually put the pin on your A, because I had an A. I went to Agora High School, so we had an A.
Okay.
I never actually showed it on my jacket because I never won anything. It was pretty pitiful.
Because my brother was a wrestler in high school.
Oh, okay.
And when I was in high school, I wanted to join the wrestling team, and I got so much grief from the guys, like, you're a girl and you shouldn't do that. But then I was having too much fun going to punk rock shows. And
I was going to say, I thought they made a movie about you. Wasn't there a movie about the girl who wanted to join the wrestling team?
There was probably, but that wasn't me, because I was like, oh yeah, what are you gonna do about it if I did?
I know, right? Yeah. That's funny. Oh, but anyway, and also don't waste your time on those stories. But the only reason I told you how to decode it is so that when you go to show somebody, it's like, let me show you this. You have it, boom, boom, boom. And if you present it to them compellingly, all right, with evidence, they're more likely to look at it than if you're just saying it, because people are talking to them all day. People are telling them all kinds of things. But if I show you something, if I actually present you something that you can hold and study and take apart and see if it breaks, right? That's different. That's different.
Oh yeah,
because that's absolutely. And I did want to get to this one other point. This kind of one of these things. Well, actually, I have all night. I don't know why I'm rushing. Let me slow down.
You have as long as you need. Yeah.
We're not going anywhere.
So what I was thinking was, when people say, and I hear it a lot, that they cannot find the truth, or that the truth is not findable. All right. So then why are you here? It makes no sense. I said, why would anyone follow someone who tells them at the get-go, I don't know where I'm going? I'm not following that guy. However, you follow the guy that says, I know where the end is. All right. I know where the finish line is. and I know where you find life. Guaranteed, and I can get out of the way. That way, you go check it out. See, it has nothing to do with me. However, I have this is scripture too, and this is all by script. That by that admission alone, the world will come against you, and it has, because people don't want to think it's that easy, because they want to put up all kinds of other barriers. No, people call them stumbling blocks. All right, they want to put all kinds of stumbling blocks, because they want to keep you in the pit with them. How many people will drag at somebody's ankle, right? Because they're all playing grab ass. Because you can't help somebody out of the pit from in the pit. Down there, you're just playing grab ass, all right? So then people will drag each other back down. As soon as somebody discovers a truth, and when I'm telling you, when you know a truth, you know it, and it's something you can present to somebody, and it will be that all the time, all right? People will rebel against you. They will rebel because they don't want to be told. They don't want to know the truth, because once they know the truth, they are responsible, and they don't want to be responsible.
There it is right there. Yeah. It's so true. Yeah. Nobody wants responsibility. That's hard. That's tough. That's difficult. You can't look at yourself in the mirror and say, oh, everything that's going on in my life is because of me. You got to blame somebody.
Yeah. And
that's because that's easy.
Yeah. And you got to look in that mirror, and you have to see that, yeah, that is who you are. So go with it. People have all kinds of hang-ups. Just go with it. That's who you are. I don't care what anybody told you. That's who you are. Do it.
Yeah.
Get on with it. Get busy living or get busy dying, one or the other. All right.
There it is. Yeah.
All right.
And I'm just like sitting here processing it all.
No. Yeah. Go ahead.
That's awesome.
Totally fine. Totally fine.
So
if you need to take a break or anything, restroom, water, whatever, just let us know. We'll hit pause and.
Oh yeah, no worries. Yeah, so go for it. You got anything?
Yeah, so
I'm just chilling.
That's great. So yeah, you were talking about you mentioned war, for example, right. And I think you said that was something that you were thinking in second grade. And did you say that you got held back in second grade? I got held back.
I sure did. Yeah.
And that was for questioning. Is that why?
Well, it's for a couple of different reasons. Well, let me jump back right into the memory. I'm sitting in what, at that second grade, you have the smaller chairs.
Yeah.
And they made my mom sit into a smaller chair too. And the teacher sitting in a smaller chair so that they could be at my level. And they said, David, you are not following the curriculum. And your mother, and I looked over and she's looking, yes, decided that we will hold you back for another year in second grade. And I was like, okay.
How did that make you feel inside?
I'm about to. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. Okay. And then I walked outside, and I was because my mom had to stay back for the conference, and she asked me to walk home because I was pretty close, and I was just walking back, and I said, now, the first thing I thought of was like, what would I do? I would say, oh, hey, look at the second grader. Like one of my classmates from before, they're going to come up to you riding on their bike over the summer because they're going to hear about this. It's going to get out.
Of course.
All right. Yeah. And they're going to ride by you, and like a total dick, they're going to say, hey, look at the second grader. And I'm like, if you guys only knew how stupid you are, but they didn't. They thought I was the dummy. And it is. So anyways, how did I get away with it after that? I put quotes around things. That's how I told myself I could if the spell had to be this is what you had to do to get to this. I put quotes around it. I do not false witness death. I don't witness death at all, period, because there's no plus in it. There's no reason to bring it up to people you don't know. First and foremost, if it's somebody who can help you, they're already gonna know, or they'll be in the circle that need to know. Need to know. That idea, there's a few things the military does right, and need to know is one of them, especially with the idea of that. And I don't even like to say it, quite frankly. Do you see how it changes the tone?
It does. But you know what, like, I'm feeling sad, but like part of me is like feeling sad for what you've gone through and having like as a child to have experienced that It's
Yeah.
like, that's just
I
awful.
wish that was the worst of it. I wish that what I've gone through, but there's been a lot worse. So it's anyone that's of the spirit is going to be persecuted in this place, and unfortunately, just the proximity, you're going to start to feel it as well. Just so you know,
Well,
you're going to
so
start. Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago, we had David Weiss on to talk about flat Earth.
Mm.
And the trolls, I said it afterwards,
Oh,
like
yeah.
the episode after. Yeah, the trolls that came out of the bridge. Oh my goodness. And I guess I wasn't quite expecting that. And
Oh, I was.
Well,
I was.
I don't know. I just, maybe because I didn't care, but I was a little surprised. Like I was and I wasn't. But and I felt like what they had to say didn't really have substance. I didn't feel any substance. There was nothing for me to say, okay, this is their argument. Okay, that's a good point. Can I counterpoint? It wasn't that. It was more of just, I felt like that absolution that like, no, you're going against what I believe, and here's A, B, and C, but there was no context to it. There's no substance. So it was
Exactly.
just,
No meat. Show me the
yeah,
meat.
yeah.
Where's the beef? Remember? Oh, I don't know. I forget. You guys aren't old. I'm always thinking. You guys aren't old, but back when I was younger, I wanted to say it was in the 80s.
Yeah,
The
it's the
80s, the
80s.
Wendy's lady.
Yeah, where's the beef?
You
Where's the
remember?
beef?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where's the
Yeah.
beef? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I said. So when people offer you nothing, walk away, because this is really. I almost think of it. I did the expo so long. I think of this as a big expo. We all got our table set up, and I got my wares. That goes back. Wares. I spell it like wares, but back when I used to video game, wares was what you used to get back on Pirate Bay, things like that back in the day.
Yeah.
All right. Back when I was a bad boy. All right. getting my video games off Pirate Bay.
Naughty.
Yeah. So I started the internet early though. I started with IRC chat and bulletin boards and IRC chat, kind of running into that, and AM radio before that, because all of this type of stuff we're talking about now had to be done on AM radio before, or ham.
AM radio, yeah, sure. Yeah.
And then even like some of the longest running gatekeepers. If I go too far sideways, bring me back. But the longest running gatekeepers of the AM radio that most people will be aware of is Art Bell. People like
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
He's a big time gatekeeper. Then you have some sub level gatekeepers like the Jeff Rentz, like the Tex Mars, what's his name, James Fetzer. I had an interview with him, by the way, and I tore him up. He folded like a cheap suit.
I saw some of that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure if you posted it. I can't remember how I came across it, but I saw some of that. And I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah, he folded like a cheap suit. Well, the problem is he's a false witness of death, and I take them down. I take them down. I take them down in a way to show the audience that's watching them his own ignorance.
Yeah.
So he destroyed himself, quite frankly. I just kind of made it happen, you know. Oh, I should tell you, if you do watch that again, you're going to see he's going to hang up on me. And
yes, I did see that. I did see that, and he was acting like he couldn't hear you or something.
Do you know why? Because I told him that he wasn't going to do that. You see me, if you watch it again, you're going to see you're not hanging up on me.
Yeah.
I told him he wasn't going to do it, and he couldn't figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
That's when he sat back and he went like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I said,
I think I stopped watching shortly after that, but I saw up to that point, and I was like, wow, go Dave.
Because what it is, I took his power from him. I confused him.
Yes.
He forgot even how to turn off the computer. So yeah, so
I love that. Anyway. No, I'm just like, sorry, I'm taking this all in because I love that you took his power from him. I love it.
It's true though. It's true though. I mean, like all those people that you mentioned, those are all, like you said, gatekeepers. You mentioned Art Bell, the big one, right? I used to listen to Art Bell all the time when we were together, right? And even before then, from the time I was a teenager, the first time I ever heard Art Bell, I used to listen to Art Bell shows, and I used to get sucked into all the stuff that was on there.
Like Mel's Hole.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Mel's Hole. Yeah. Oh yeah. And
oh yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. And I found out later on in life that he was in the CIA as a kid, and I went, okay, well that's it right there. Forget it. Once you're in that organization, the rest of your life you're in that. You're never out of it. So I figured it out then that okay, I knew that not everything on his show was true. I knew a lot of it. Obviously, it's entertainment. It's a produced show. It's on the air and everything. But I figured out right then and there that, okay, everything that I ever listened to, everything was BS. It was all just entertainment. It was all just essentially a time waster.
Exactly. I have a story about Art Bell.
Oh, I'd love to hear it.
I sent him a fast blast.
Okay.
This was,
Yeah.
I want to say 94, 96, one of those years. But I sent him a fast blast, and that was kind of like early text message, or like the messenger. I sent him something about a question about rents, because I saw on rents had said something about Art Bell, so I just wanted to cause a little trouble. So I said, what's the story about, rents and you, whatever? And he sends it back, what's your number? So I sent back my phone number. Back then, I didn't have a cell phone because they weren't as prevalent. So he called my home phone. Hello, it's Art Bell. Did you want to go online? So I said, sure. So I go online and say, what were you saying about that? So I just kind of mentioned the thing. And sure enough, just like a charlatan, he used me as a platform. Then he jumped into what he was going to do to go after rents. And then the next thing I hear is click. Huh? So I was like, what a charlatan, because I was gonna bring up at the time, and I had planned it, is he was talking about the moon hoax at the time, and he was a big pusher of that stupid thing.
Yeah.
He would not, no matter what you showed him, he would just not even look at it, no matter what photographs and everything else. So and then rents, I've talked to him before. A guy named David John Oates. I talked to him before. A guy named Savage.
Michael Savage, is that his name?
I called him. Yeah, because I called him about the hoax, world Gulf War nonsense.
Yeah,
and he cut me off. I was on air, but then he cut me off. A lot of different people. I've been causing trouble for a long time. Yeah, but it's just bringing up the truth, because I was in the Navy for 10 years as well. I was in the U.S. Navy for 10 years. I built torpedoes. That's what I did. I built them in the Philippines for 4 years. That's where I first got there in 1987. Met my wife that year, but then I got married in 1988. And then I was there until almost 91. And then we went to Canada. Well, Japan, then Canada. And then stayed there for a few years, then went Long Beach. But anyways, I built torpedoes in it was called Class B, Class C maintenance in Subic Bay, Philippines, called Naval Magazine. There was 3 bases. There was QB Point, which is the air base. There's Subic Bay, which is famous, and you'll see it in Officer and a Gentleman. Okay. All that opening scene is that area. And then the other base is the Naval Magazine, which is back in the jungle, and that's where I work. But that's what I did. I built them, and what it is you build these stupid things, you put them in the magazine or onto the ship. They don't do anything. They come back, and you just keep rebuilding them. On the 4th or 5th time, depending on how old the stuff is, you send it back completely to the United States for refit. And then I spent the next 2 years at the Undersea Warfare Center in Keyport, in Washington, and Nanoose Bay, Canada, which is off by British Columbia, and firing torpedoes at the 3D range. All right. Now the 3D range is basically, it's just an underwater range where you can see everything. So let's say coming at you like this direction and this direction and this direction. Okay. So everything's plotted, and the junk just never worked. Lucky for everybody, war's a hoax. So it never had to be real, because the stuff never worked. I'm just letting you know, as a guy who did it for real. My witness is true because I did it for real. I actually loaded it, closed it. I did sub tubes, surface tubes. I was on a destroyer. I was in the Persian Gulf. I put up those pictures you see. Those pictures you saw. Did you see them? I'm not sure if you saw those. The Navy pictures. Those are from.
No, I didn't see those.
I have 2 pictures I put up on what is it? Twitter, right? I put those up. Those are from 1996.
I think I saw something you posted.
Yeah,
so I'm just trying to think if that was it.
I'll re-tag you later with it.
Okay.
Just so you can just put the story to it.
Okay.
And those are from 1994. I'm sorry, in the Persian Gulf, and you'll see me. I'm sitting on one because I was on an interdiction crew. You saw it, right?
Yes.
Holding the water. Do you notice on my left hand it's holding a 7?
No.
that's 1996. I didn't realize it at the time, but coming now that I'm the guy who's telling people about the 7 hoax code all these years later, and then I'm showing you that's because the 7 reflects into the 7. So if the 7's the truth, the hoax is the false door, the reflected 7. Do you see?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So then it's very interesting. So I'm showing you this truth because I'm the guy who's telling you that war's a hoax. How do you know? I was there. And I'm going to tell you a real story. Christmas Eve. All right. That'd be 1994. They check my rack. Hey, Johnson. They always call you by your last name in the military. Hey,
Yeah.
Johnson, we need you up in the helo deck. So I said, all right. So I get up on the helo deck and they say, you're on the interdiction team. I said, what's that? And they said, you're going to go take over a ship that's running contraband. Yeah? I was like, I'm a torpedoman, man. What do I know about that, right? They're like, no, we'll teach you everything. So they showed me how to do the line thing real quick, you know, like the high line thing where you repel.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then they said, okay, no ID, no indication of who you are. Here's your life jacket, your helmet. And then a bunch of us went onto a helicopter and took off. Next thing you know, I'm hovering over a ship. I have a sawed-off shotgun, pistol grip, and I'm carrying a 45. And I'm getting lowered onto a ship in the Persian Gulf. And then we go off and we take the ship over. And the captain looked like an Iranian Joe Pesci, by the way. Exactly. I was like, dude, yeah, that's Joe Pesci. He might have played that character now I think of it. I'm just saying that could
It's
be
possible.
Yeah, that could have been Joe
templates.
Pesci because I'm telling you, he looked like Joe Pesci. But yeah, so I'm except he had blonde hair, fake, by the way. And anyway, so he was way cool with it. He was just really, he said, okay, guys, oh yeah, hey, we give up. So then we took the ship over and we're going down to the United Arab Emirates. And by sea, that's 3 days. It's very interesting. 3. Remember we talked about that earlier. 3. How 3 is always a representation of coming into a ring, into a truth or an idea, or again, a fallen, depending on if it's truth or fiction. All right. So then I'm coming into this truth of this matter, and I've been up for about 3 days now. And you can see I'm wired normally, but if I'm up for 3 days, forget about it. Because you can't go to sleep on the supposed ship because we only brought enough people to kind of just take over a little bit of it.
Sure.
You know, not the whole thing.
Right.
And so lucky these guys were all in on it because they weren't going to get us. So, but anyways, I had to stay up. And on the 3rd day, I'm leaning over that's right after that picture's being taken. Literally an hour after that picture's being taken, because that's when we're pulling in. And you see, we're supposedly on a ship we took over, and look at us. We're all like relaxing. So anyways, we pull in, and Joe Pesci, character, not the real one, walks up and he glad hands the supposed cop. Glad hands, and they tap each other on the back, and then they walk off down the pier. And I was watching that. And I knew war was a hoax, but it's just that I couldn't put a real experience to it. Do you understand?
Yeah.
People can say, prove it. Well, I did. I was there and I just was used physically. Really, my real life, I stayed up for 3 days. It didn't feel good. I wasn't feeling good, right? That was all real. But the reason that they put me through that was not real at all. It was contrived.
Because that's one of the questions I had was,
Yeah.
like, is it because we think, oh, like what the government tells us is bullshit.
Right.
But is
Yeah.
it they're putting these people in this type of simulation to make them think it's real?
Well, it's beyond. You're correct in that if you say that it's not some human. It's that sign I told you. The idea of, and God said, "Let there be light." That's the truth. And there was light. The idea of 1 becoming the 4, the door, then the 4 becoming back into the 1. Do you see how it's all one big cycle? So the 1, 8. So then, anyways, so if that's the I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought again.
No, is it a simulation
Oh no,
that they're going through?
not by human hands. It's by that splinter or the fallen Christ. It's the idea. Because do you know how when you get an idea, where did that come from? It's it really is either a positive or a negative. It really is. And that is where that's coming from, because evil became, okay? Evil became from life, because once life was split, life became death. There has to be an idea there. There has to be nothing in this place can be spoken without it echoing physically. Okay, it has to echo physically. So if I say something that's false, it goes out of my mouth false, it's going to come back onto me, because I'm the only thing it can be attracted to, because it has no other body to attach itself to. All right. Now how does that assign in real life? Remember I told you the story about my work where my director of nursing bore false witness against me. She told a story exactly as it said, but she added the devil in the detail. She said that I rose my voice at her and I slammed her door. And I told her at that moment, I told her 3 times, no less than 3 times, that she lied, and she made that up. Like out of whole cloth. I asked her, why did you lie about me? This is right there. And the reason that had to happen was I had to ask her 3 times to recant that lie, because you have to give somebody that time to recant. But then guess what happened? It was out of my hands at that point. I heard in my head, be silent. And that was my Father saying, be silent. And let me tell you something. God will correct you, and sometimes it's sternly. So it's not all love and peace. Sometimes it's sternly. It's you will stop that. Okay. And guess what? It's when you stop it though, it's spoken about in scripture about the travails of birth. And I'm not a woman. I'm just going to make it say that the pain gives way to love once the baby's seen. All right. The pain's forgotten for that moment. Right. So then that's that separation we're talking about. So then one thing can lead into the next, but they're not the same thing. All right. They are a separation. All right. So that's important. So then anyways, that had to bounce back. That had to come back onto her. And she went into 2 days later, she went into the director's office, the boss lady's office. She got mad at her and she went out and slammed her door. So what she false witnessed against me reflected back onto her physically. It had to happen.
So I've been saying that when you see somebody and they're trying to slight you, they're trying to harm you, they're trying to hurt you with their words or their actions, I look at it as it's not about me, it's a reflection of themselves.
Reflection and word, you said both. And I want to say that's very interesting, because a reflection, the idea of a reflection or a sign, like the idea of a reflection is a repeat, is a sign. The word is the sword of the mouth. Word,
Yeah.
sword. All right. So when I speak with my tongue, it's a double-edged sword. I can either kill you or love you. Love bringing to life. Those are the only 2 things I can do with it. That's it. So you have to understand the power of your tongue. You can kill somebody instantly with it. And that's why I like sharp humor, by the way. I like humor, and I tell people this, that chops your head off and puts it back before you even realize it happened. You know, it needs to be so witty, very like before you even know, wait, what? Oh yeah, very nice, good.
I love it. I also, I don't mean to jump in. One of the things I wanted to talk to you is about outer space.
Yeah.
Because growing up, I was so fascinated by outer space.
Oh.
And now I'm just like, it's bullshit. Like,
yeah. But here's
yeah, go
I'm
on.
sorry. Well, in the year of 2012, I'm so happy right now. Did you see me a little bit fall until you said something? That's the power of words, because you started like, oh, I thought I had work to do, but then you didn't. See, I was like, yes. So now I can just tell you about what I did. So the whole year of 2012, every day. So once during the day and once at night, I went outside and I studied the sky. All right. And then I even took a picture in 2012, and it was in June. I want to say the 22nd. It was of the moon with a star. Boop. All right, just like you see on flags and everywhere else. And that was because I spent that entire year, that whole entire year, 365, that whole year, every day doing that. And I was given a clear sky, by the way, every day to do it. I was never impeded, except by, let's just say, clouds at night. Sometimes that would increase. In fact, I can show you this one picture um, of the moonlight, because they're all just lights in the sky.
Yeah.
Not I call them lights in the sky, not destinations. All right, it makes it easy.
Mhm.
So, anyways, this of the moonlight coming through these clouds, and it's amazing because when you zoom in, you see the colors of the rainbow. Yeah, so it's crazy. You'll love it. You'll love it. So, anyways, it's pretty interesting stuff. It's just like once you know what you're looking at, it's like somebody might look, oh, that's a nice picture of whatever. No, but once you know what you're looking at and you know what colors, tones, and tunes mean, that everything is then reflected in these down to the number. And I should say the number is, and why that's important is because the number is root. Everything you do is by number. What time you got up, what time you went to sleep, how many minutes we spend together, how much did you eat? Everything can be reduced to a number. How fast you went to work, blah, 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 everything. There's nothing that will break that. That's a fact. All right. As I like to say, that's a fact. So, I mean, test it, like I say as well, but it's a fact. I'm just going to let you know. So then anyways, that's just what that is, you know?
Now, we went to space a second ago, but can we go back again to
yeah,
war, right?
Yeah.
We were talking about, and I don't want to bring anything down or anything, but we were talking about it being like a simulation. And this is something that I've entertained recently,
right.
just thinking about it. And I have family that was in the military. I almost went to the military, but I decided against it at the last minute. The
Good move.
Army recruiter was very pushy and I just backed
Good
off.
move, yeah.
I did the ASFAB. I did all that stuff. And yeah, I decided against it, but I've had family that's been to war, the theater of war, which is what they call it, which is
what they call
incredible that they call it that. And it's almost like, I feel like it's always been there for us to see. They tell us what's going on, but we, for whatever reason, we just choose not to see it for what it is.
Well, because maybe because people bought the Victory at Sea box set, they don't want to think they waste their money.
Yeah, there you go. Could be.
I mean, it's that simple.
Very well be.
It comes down to a simple belief in war. They want to believe that stuff's real. They want it to be real. Therefore, it is. They become their own creator. We talked about that at the beginning. Really, It always boils down to the simple. Always boil it down to the simple. It's the idea of the Occam's razor. Remember, just like we talked about cleaving.
Yeah.
Right. The 1 and the 2, the 2 and the 1 idea. It's always at the cleave. Always find out where the slice happened. That's where the corruption set in. That's where the infection starts. Right? Because that's where the body was cut. So you don't look for infection where the body wasn't cut. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're cut spiritually, we're talking spiritually because where your spirit is, your body follows. So the body let the body figure itself out. This is my medicine. All right. I don't eat a lot, really not much at all. I drink my sweet tea by the gallon and I'm fine. So I let no man judge me on what I eat or drink, period. I let no man judge me on these silly holidays or festivals or anything else. Don't wave your flag at me. I will give Rome its due. That's what I will give it. What's it want? Money, right? That's what it wants, right? Money. Oh, okay. Here's your money. Thanks. That's all. That's my contract with them. That's all they get. All right. Walk away. But I'm not going to participate in your play. But I'm going to be a thorn in your side. All right. I'm going to jab that body. All right. And I'm going to inject the truth back into it. All right. Because without light in this world, this place would be very dark. Spiritually speaking, all this will still be going on, all this conversation, but it's going to be people in hoods, dark rooms, talking about dark ideas, bringing you nowhere. I call them figure eights because they quite literally bring you back into nowhere. And at the end of the day, tell you with authority that you'll never know nothing anyway. What? Why'd you waste my time? Because you can know the truth, because the truth is there. And
well, with those people, do you really want to know what they know? If it's all negative and I don't want that.
No.
I don't
Yeah,
want it.
no. Yeah, and that's the whole thing. It's like your environment, your house, environment. Think about that, because it's the same thing outside. It's an envelopment. It's an envelope. So your sphere of influence, because you live in, I mean, I always say you, I just
Generally
say that it's
speaking.
kind of like generally.
Sure. Yeah.
So, but you live in a wet cell, and these are, I always look at, I explore until I can reduce the truth to a sentence that can be tested. And if it cannot be broken, then that's the truth. So this is a wet cell electromagnetic environment that is oriented at 90 degrees, which is why everything drops straight to the ground. All right. Period. It's a plane that has deviations called depth and elevation from sea level. 33. You get it?
Mhm.
Because now put your 3 in your 3, and then talk about electricity flowing through it, through the wire. Huh? If you disturb that wire, you play that instrument, you then go into the sine wave. But however, if you become that passerby and you only observe the truth of the matter, you just slide right on by. Huh? Yeah. You get accelerated to the end. Because let me tell you something. I did a video 4 into 1 or 1 into 4. That's going to show you the lights going down what I call the CERN tunnel, which is the idea of the lights that you worry about, concern yourself with. And it's going to show you that it starts out as 4 colors. And now these colors have properties of gold. All right, because this is a simulator. All right, it's a physics simulator. So this is real. This is how you build real things. This is how we're talking to each other on this computer. Because without, when I worked in photolithography and sputter vacuum for 15 years at TDK and Western Digital, if I was not producing computer heads with the truth of the process, we would not be talking. There was no room for opinion, because the truth does not concern itself with your opinion at all, period. It just doesn't matter. In fact, that's the biggest lie, that is one of the biggest lies that people are told, that their opinion matters, because it doesn't at all, period. The truth matters. Everything else is a lie. That's what keeps people quiet. And guess what? People should sit back and say, let me be quiet and think about that. I'm going to consume that, because guess what? I can live my life all day, every day, happy and not lie. It's not impossible. And in fact, you do it once and then you fall in love with it, and you don't want it, and you'll never go back. Because once you taste the truth, I'll explain this to you. Once you taste the truth of Christ, you do not go back. And you do not become somebody different. You just stop caring about what people think about you, and you become who you are. You don't have to act like anybody, because this is the same guy you'd be sitting. I'm talking to you, and if you were sitting here talking to me, other than handing you this bomb and you being able to take it, that's the only difference. Or on the street or anywhere else, you know. But we just pass each other in silence, huh? Because you think at the store, oh, that guy's wearing that costume of whatever, so that guy's a plumber, that guy's an electrician, but he's not somebody who could also be on the same road as you. And if you stop and talk to him for a moment, he might tell you something that you didn't know, right? And
Yeah.
every single day, I want to tell somebody something that they didn't know. All right.
I think with that,
Yeah.
what it feels like to me though, when that happens I feel like there's fear.
Right.
They're afraid to step out and talk to the stranger for one reason or another. A lot of times it's like fear and judgment. I feel like it's fear and judgment. And they look at people and they judge, and then they develop a fear based off that judgment, unless they feel safe. If they feel safe by that person. But, and
Right.
I've had people lecture me because I'll talk to strangers, and people are like, that's dangerous.
Oh, no, you're going to learn so many, because I work at an old folks home. So I talk with all kinds of people, and let me tell you, they're all at the end of quite peaceful. Sorry to break a lot of people's hearts, but I've never seen a grimace, just to let you know, ever. I've never seen a grimace. So just sorry to burst your bubble, all you darkies, all the people that, It's just the way it is. God takes his, and it just at the end, it's. I can only tell you the audible sign once was. Sometimes there is none. It's just drift. It was. She simply asked, and this was quite evident in her tone, asking this way, like as if somebody was opening the door and doing this, and she was asking this, oh, this way, like, like knowing already, but just, oh, this way, like just kind of complimenting the one who was letting her through the door. It's quite interesting. And then gone. Yeah, very interesting. So anyway, that's just kind of a side benefit, let's just say, that I have. So I get to talk to people when they have nothing left to hide. Let's just say that. Yeah.
And it's always peaceful every time
Oh
you see
yeah.
them.
Oh yeah. Yeah. When they have nothing left to hide. Now, let me tell you some. There are some that are still fighting demons. And you can tell that quite simply by anger. They're angry. And when you find out that they're angry, they're quite literally angry at nothing or things that don't mean anything. They're angry at worldly things or slights. They're still being tormented. Going back to what I told you, demons. Remember the computer, the sub program. These regrets in their head. So they have to. They get medicated to the point to where, yeah, at some point before the end, yeah, they forget everything, and then there's a period of just kind of bliss, almost, just dumbfoundedness, just kind of. So all that's taken from them. Kind of think of it that way. The yoke's finally pulled off of them because there was nobody there like whipping them, but they themselves, even with all that medication, kept themselves in that hell. They every time they got off the drug, they brought themselves back in the hell, and they acted out, and they had to be brought back. You see, but then finally they didn't forgive themselves so much as they got shown how to forgive themselves. Because I don't know how to act unless I get shown by Christ. And then he shows me. And he says, if you can reflect me in you, then they will see me in you. I said, okay, I'll do that. And that's what I try to do. That's it.
I have to say, it's like speaking with you, I feel a lot of love. I feel a lot of love energy speaking with you. I feel like, how can I explain it? Like I work in emotions, like how I feel, and sometimes I'm not good at articulating it. And I try to use hand gestures and people don't know what I'm talking about. But it's like I feel. And like, yeah, like you have it's like the energy, but it's like love energy. And
I want no one to perish.
yeah.
No one.
And that's the thing. It's like I've kind of like I've held on to bitterness before and rage. And then you come to a point like, why? Like, what does that do? And even with forgiveness, and it was just recently until I learned that just because you forgive somebody doesn't mean that what they did was right.
No.
It doesn't make it doesn't, like it doesn't make it right what they did. It's just allowing yourself to release that pain.
You take the yoke off.
Yeah. You release it. And I didn't learn that until this year. And once I learned that, because I feel like I've been told before, but it never clicked.
Right. Can I tell you, and I like to associate with scripture because I just like to take the burden off of me. It wasn't some things I've said, which are a reflection of Christ, just through there's a passage saying that you will do greater things, not meaning, better or higher, just greater things. And then that's scripture, and that's what I'm doing. So, but there's also times where I want to bring it back and then just reflect it back into, to known scripture, so that people can say, oh, where did he get that from? So anyways, there's just the idea of if you love your neighbor as you love yourself, and then that you just don't lie, cheat, or steal. That's simply it. And then at the end, it says that if you simply do that, you're good. That's it. You're done. That's your only requirement. That's it. People put a lot of nonsense out there about the requirement. That's it. And guess what? Your life changes. And then once you're brought into life, you cannot reflect death. You can't. It becomes repulsive to you. And when people try to push it on you, you repel magnetically, because I told you this is a wet cell electromagnetic existence. And the bigger they push onto you like a magnet, the farther you push back. You see? And then people wonder, why is that guy acting so weird? Why isn't he acting like one of us? You know, why is he laughing at the storm? Why is he laughing in the face of death? Because it doesn't exist. That's why. You know? And what's death, death, where's your sting? I don't feel it. Not on me. Get that off me. See, you can't live when you're dying. You can't do it. So you really, really have to wake up, live every day.
Yeah.
Period. And put out light. And light is the truth. All right. And light comes from only one place, and that's the Creator, your Father in heaven. Period. That's it. And I do want to always go back to always say that if you're speaking the truth, anyone speaking the truth, a truth that's testable, that's the word of God. That's not their word. They're just being used as a vessel, because all men are liars. That's why, that's that separation. Remember, I told you always have to separate what the word is from the man, so that you don't get caught in that demon of rebellion that says, I'm not going to stand under him. See how quickly that demon set in? It wasn't about standing under him, it was about listening and testing. So you're not standing under anyone, but your own really understanding at the end, and your Creator. See, so I think people can, if they think of it that way, if they still put their Creator above them, truthfully, and give thanksgiving every single time that they're brought into a truth, they then are the one that stands on the way. And no one will stand in their way, period. And you will walk on water. That's what water is, wall. The idea of the Hebrew wall, the six. You're standing on that cube I talked about before. You're not in it. Your mind's not in it. You're standing on it, and you're just walking along. But what you can do from that perspective is tell people about it. I go into it from time to time. I go back into the cube sometimes just to tell people about it. That's when you'll see the videos where I'm talking about about the pyramids and things like that. That's us in the cube. We're exploring this fake world together. It was all put here for our amusement. I just said amusement, amuse. Okay, you get it?
Yeah.
It's all bull crap. It's all bullshit. And the reason I say bullshit, it's important I say bullshit because it's of the bull. All right, that's that idea of that symbology.
It's funny because that's the word I always use.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I feel, do I need a thesaurus? But that's the word that comes out.
It's because it's the correct word. It is the correct word to use.
So I don't need a thesaurus.
No, it is the correct word to use, because that is what it is. It is absolutely a waste of time. And again, time is your only currency. So if you give that away, it's over. And really, I'm telling you, I've enjoyed every minute we've spent together, because this is life. This is what we're here for.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And now people from this moment are going to make a choice. They're going to either continue into life, or they're going to fall back into death. That's it. That's what's going to happen.
One or the other.
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, I'm definitely like, I'm processing a lot, because I feel like a lot of what you're saying is resonating with me. And sometimes it's just different ways.
You know what you might be interested in is I have a video called A Thought. It's like where I reduce everything. I reduce that to a thought, but it's 4 videos put together. And it's going to show you more on an intellectual level what this is about. And again, physically, in a physics idea, to where I, again, have nothing to do with it. I'm also going to show you a $2 bill. And on the back of a $2 bill, I rolled it. And I took a picture of the inside and I spun it. And what you're going to see inside there is Oz, the Wizard of Oz. You're going to actually see the lion-faced Wizard of Oz, and not in one way where you got to close one eye and squint, plainly. And you're going to see that his mustache makes up the plane of existence. It's,
I love it.
oh, you're going to just wait till, and that's what the $2 bill. But what's so interesting about that is on the $2 bill, if you look at the back, in the back left corner, there's a man with a hat on. Only one guy in the room that's got he's the man with the hat, Saturn. All right, just so you know. Now Saturn, you'll find him, he moves through time. Now, when you go back to a video I did called 911 Echo, which is not me talking, it's just some clips put together. I put together some old stuff from New York with the plane and the falling man over 2 different events. Then I go into the idea of falling in love with the story and falling into the idea of love of war, all right? And then I move it into the 7 on the back of the dancers, the idea of the mind being danced, all right? Into a confrontation with a resolution, only to find out that it was a movie, all right? It wasn't real life. Yeah, you'll find out. It's very interesting.
It's that drama, that
Yeah,
human
yeah.
nature.
Oh
I
yeah,
love
so
the
you go,
drama.
yeah, and it goes through and it goes through and it goes through, and until the very end, to where you see 3 people doing this number on 9/11, doing the, you know, the monkey pose.
Yeah.
The 666, right in a row, just like puppets. They're being those who are not in the mind of Christ, and this is just fact. Am I? I just want to make sure I'm not all cut off.
Oh, you're
No,
good.
you're good.
Oh, okay. Those who are not in the mind of Christ are in the mind of the fallen Christ, or the lie. Just think of it that way. If you're not in the truth, you're in the lie. There's no middle ground. You know, I like breaking news to people. You know, the truth. There is no middle ground. There is, I guess, the news, and then there's the truth. That's it. All right, because the news is always going to lead you to death. Always. All right. So it's very important. And this is the time of we're in a different time right now. I'm sure you've noticed things have changed a little bit.
Just a bit. Yeah. It's just a
bit.
smidge.
Yeah.
I was just going to say smidge.
Just a tiny
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah. And some people call it end times. Yeah, however, it's a time of revelation. It's a time that is going to allow those in the mind of Christ to be separated from those who are not. And it's an electrical thing. And it happens in a twinkling of an eye. All right. But there's time, so which is beautiful. But it happens, and that's what it is. Always think electrically too. Always take the time to, if there's any word that's being used in English that has an electrical sound to it, think it, and you'll get a different meaning in your head. You'll get the correct one, just so you know.
Oh, okay.
Very interesting.
I feel like I need to write all this down. I'm glad we're recording,
Yeah, I
so
know,
I can
I
go
know.
back to it.
Right.
Because we've talked about so much, and it's kind of, we've gone in different places, but I feel like the feeling has been very consistent.
I have, oh, by the way, I have hundreds of videos that show all this stuff. I've made all this stuff since like 2009 forward. I've been making it all these years, so that when the time was right, it would make sense to people. Make sense, make 5. Remember we told you about the 2 and the 5, the sense? It would make, so now it's this is the time it's going to make sense, because people are paying attention now and they know what to look for. Because before there was still a lot of time left, so they were still busy running around, but now it's changing. People are actually looking for the truth. They're getting tired of being told that you can't find it, because you can. All right. You have to work. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Now I'm wondering with, and I don't pay attention to the news at all.
Mhm.
Really, the only time I see any current events or news or anything like that is when I go on Twitter, and I'll see, you know, people talking about something.
Right.
Now, do you think, in your mind, in your view, do you think that all of this stuff that's happening with stuff being so obviously staged, where people that are not even looking for it are noticing it, do you think that that is by design, because we're supposed to be coming back around now to a time of revelation, as you said?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, this is all by scripture, just so you know. It's all by script. All of this is happening on script. This is the separation time. brother against brother idea. I should tell you this, because there's a lot of storylines going on. In the physical place where we go around, there's a lot of contention between family now. All right.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's where that is. But let's continue to the political theater. They're running Genesis 4 right now. All right. And I'll explain that to you. What they're doing is they're running the Lamech kills Cain, screwed over by Hunter, Tubal Cain storyline, which is Genesis 4. So basically, people are seeing Genesis 4 being played out in the political theater. Now, I'll give you a quick example of what that means. Cain, as you know, was one who is said to have killed Abel, and then was cursed to walk with a mark. And anyone who then killed Cain would then be cursed even more, right? So then 7, that's where your 7-7 comes in, by the way, just letting you know. And then Tubal Cain, the son, tricks Lamech, the grandfather. That would be Biden is playing the Lamech character. His son is Hunter Biden, who will in the future be the reason why he gets, taken out. Because Tubal Cain tells Lamech that's a wild animal. He shoots it, it winds up being Cain. You see? Lamech turns around, slaps Tubal and kills him too. So the old man's then crushed. All right. So that's the Genesis 4 story, biblically being played out in political theater now. So if you're wanting to look at the future, like you're some, envelope, Hunter Biden screws over daddy by, having some big revelation come out that makes him so-called step down, because the whore of Babylon, Camilla Harris, needs to ride the beast to the end. All right. I mean, you heard it here first, I guess, right? But that's who she's playing. Because remember, before all the election, you had the Camilla Harris wrestler reported to have died. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the
Kamala
name,
Harris. James Harris was his name. He played the character Kamala.
the beast.
Yes.
All right. So she's the beast who will ride this whore, this system into at the end. She's the beast, or she's the whore that will be riding this beast. This is this political structure, money structure, all that is the beast. So yeah, you already know that's coming. So I mean, you're not going back to Sundays in the park and all that nonsense. All that's gone. So you got to look forward to where it's going. And if you already know the storyline, you already know the future. And they're playing Genesis 4 in the political side. On this side, it's really just a play off of Exodus. And you're being chased by the Egyptians right now. The people want to put masks on you and shoot you full of stuff. They're the ones who are chasing after you. But don't worry, God's going to part the Red Sea for you and let you through. You're getting chased now. We're all getting chased, but we're going to get through. All right, because we only get given what we can handle, and only the strong are given a lot. All right. And if you're given a lot, you got to pull your weight, because we're the only thing here that's keeping people alive with truth, spiritually speaking. That's the meat that keeps you going. When you're down sometimes and you remember a truth?
Yeah.
It gets you up. You get that energy, because you are energy. You are power. Yes. You're all of that. Just remember that. So that not people consider this the temple. It's just a vehicle that gets the temple around.
Yes.
Okay. So this is what you take care of. Yeah. You take care of your mind, your temple. You guard it against all lies. You guard it always. I like to tell people that if they put their pointer fingers on their temples and wait, they'll feel the proof of life, because they'll feel the pulse. And then they can just think and then go ahead and control it, slow down. So if they ever get over pressured by the world, just relax and remember who you are. You're a child of God, and these demons aren't going to touch you. All right, because we're all coming together, because it's the truth of the matter. We would not be able to stand in company together if that was a lie. All right, we would be repelled. That's just the nature of it. there are going to be a lot of people repelled by what I've said tonight.
Yeah.
That's just the way that's going to be. However, that doesn't, they should, I should say this, it would do them well to actually go do the work. Because when I tell you, I don't think you've seen the one where I show you how to make a land telescope.
No.
Okay,
Mm.
well, check this out. So in California, over the I-5 freeway, there's over ramps, and they have a slight curve to them. So let's say here's the curve. So if you go up, well, I did about a half a mile up, and you put your camera down to where you're level with the hump, it's going to create a mirage line, and that's going to act as a mirror. All right. And everything, so let's say that's at 30 feet or whatever it's at. So you're sitting there, boom. In the distance, you can't see anything, but then all of a sudden, when you adjust your camera to level, everything that's above 30 feet in the distance, as far as the eye can see, and I did 50 plus miles, pops into existence like a pop-up book. So you're seeing cars and trucks doing zigzags in the background like this, and they could be 20 miles apart, but you're seeing them together because everything above that level has popped into view. Everything below that level is out of sight. So you're seeing like a road sign that could be on a hill 20 miles away. That's above 30 feet, you'll see it. All right.
Huh.
It's amazing stuff.
You're gonna have to send us all the links so we can put them
Yeah.
in our show
no,
notes.
I'll put together a whole list for you. I'm off this weekend. I'll put a whole list together, and you'll see all this stuff. Any of the things I've talked about, I have a video on.
I love
Guaranteed.
it. Thank you.
Guaranteed. And this is interesting because that is how I proved. That was part of my work to prove the plane. I don't say that. I proved it. And once you know what you're looking at, you're going to see what I'm talking about. Once you see that, everything's going to change. It's because it's going to go from just an idea in your head to now I actually know what to go out and look for. And now I can recreate that test.
And that's what we've
prove it.
come across over the past years. Like, and once you see, you can't unsee. It's
Mm.
there.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can
So
go like
true.
one. I can go one more round. I'm actually looking for my lighter. So if we want to take a quick break, I'll find my lighter and then we're back. Oh, never mind. I got it.
You get all right.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I
You
won't
good?
concern. I won't concern
good.
myself. I won't concern myself. See, the red is associated with concern. The idea of the fall in love, the fake love. I love you so much. I need you to put the shot in you and put the mask on you. You know, the fake fall in love, right? So then that's why I said I don't concern myself because I found it. See, it's red.
Interesting.
That's where that came in. Yeah. I like to always add in like lesson if I can because everything reflects. Yeah, everything reflects this. Everything reflects this place. All right. You're going to see everything. So you can, like I say, you can take a lesson, the leaf off the tree and explain the plane simply so you don't need a classroom. You don't need anything. You can just find a fallen leaf in the parking lot and do it, which is awesome.
I love that.
Yeah,
I
that
do.
is pretty awesome.
It's just, I feel like, I think we as people tend to overcomplicate things.
Yeah. And oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, we just keep it simple.
Oh yeah. Because interestingly enough, in my introduction to that book, I say anything past this is a complication.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is, especially when you see with interaction with people. When there's let's say they're degrading. See, that stutter. They're degrading into argument or anger. So what will happen is one will reflect off the other, zig, zag, zig, and one will keep saying, "Do you remember? Do you remember? Do you recall?" And it keeps bringing them farther and farther back into these memories. Right? And then guess what happens when you get so many sparks? It rekindles the fire, right? How do you stop that fire? By smothering it at the beginning. One or the other stops the reflection. Just kills it. Doesn't reflect it back. Just eats it. Do you see what I'm saying? Absorbs it. Because it's going to be paid back later in calmness and understanding. The other's going to realize what happened and then come back calmly. You see? So then the issue gets resolved, but without the pit and without the fire, right? So it's a different type of branding, you know? Yeah. Yeah. So you can resolve things, but you have to be, like I told you earlier when I was told by God to be silent.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to absorb it. And when I said absorb it, I was listening to somebody for almost 5 minutes, just going after me on things that were just not true. And by absorbing it, I knew that it was gonna come back. I was gonna be found to be the one that was in the right. But even less than that, that's not even that important. It's just that I don't know, it just allowed me to reflect on, if I say another word, all I can do is complicate this. And I even thought to myself, because I was somewhere else at the time, like she was, man, peanuts, I'm telling you, peanuts. And I was back and I said, didn't you write? I'm talking to myself at this time. I said, didn't you write that anything past this is a complication? I said, so anything past her talking is just going to complicate it. So shut up. You know, if people don't like the fact that God told me that, then I told myself that. You know, if that hangs them up, if that's their stumbling block, you know, then I'm going to move it out of their way. Go with it that way at first, if that makes you more comfortable. And then once you see it's true, then come back and we'll do the other one. You know, I don't want to have anybody trip up on something that they shouldn't. You know, but even the littlest thing can send somebody sideways. And as soon as somebody goes sideways, we just talked about it. It does that number. And that's nothing but the dueling sevens as well. All right.
Yeah.
Once you get to the 4 sevens idea, you've created that envelopment, the so-called the sun sign. I understand there's a lot of religion and spiritual teachers and all that, Manly P. Hall and all these jokers that will tell you about that sign, and they'll tell you about these positive ideas, because you can put a positive idea on anything, but you've lost the spiritual nature of it. They don't actually tell you what it really means. And what it really means is that reflection happened. You consumed enough detail that you allowed your mind to come into that 47. All right. You see what I'm saying? That's when it became a sun. That's when it blossomed into you. And it became, now if you worship that sun that you created by belief, you idolize it. It becomes the 9 in your mind. Right? Look at the 9, just a simple idea. 9, boom, right? What happens when I flip that around? All right? It's the 8, it's the 8 between 2 lines. I turn the 2 lines, it's the little 8, the details sliding down life. Sliding down that 4 into 1 tunnel I told you about. That 4 into 1 tunnel, the 4 colors actually go 4 into 2, all right, into 1. They become 1 and they're all going the same speed, but they cannot go faster than each other. So they have to become 1. You see what I'm saying? And that's a physical test. That has nothing to do with me. Any physics generator can do it. So you have to become 1 with it. You cannot consume details of a lie and not become 1 with it. You just can't do it. You cannot give yourself to the lie world 5 hours a day and then come home and expect to be clean and say, God, I'm home, please talk to me. No. Respect your temple. Here is what I'm talking about. Like I say, have a cheeseburger, whatever, if that's what you want. Like I said, I don't put any type of thing on diet, anything like that. Whenever I hear people talking about health and stuff like that, I'm sorry if that's what you do. I haven't checked you out that far. But to me, I'm like, if you're just kind of giving recipes out, that's one thing. That's great. But if you're somehow saying that that's going to somehow change the nature of your spirit or your spirituality, that's wrong. Just don't do it.
Oh, I agree with you there. I think that there's a lot of that out there where everybody's so absolute. You can't eat animals. You can't eat meat. You can't. I agree. I don't
And
think that matters as far as how you are as a person spiritually or anything. I don't think any of that matters. But I
no,
have
it
seen
does.
a lot of language around that, and I've nenever agreed with that.
Well, that's the whole thing. When you don't agree with something, when you're not attracted to it, walk away.
Yeah.
Just because that's your body's telling you you're not attracted to it. You are the sphere of influence. As soon as your sphere of influence hits it, walk away. I'm not hitting into that, because all you're going to do is, even if you liked it for that day, next week or the week after, it's going to come back to bite you. Because at some point it's going to break. Because at some point you're not going to be able to handle that false light anymore. Because you're just at some point going to realize, I shouldn't have followed that. I just realized now it was a lie. And the sooner you do that, the better. I like to teach people by that code is you can see it immediately. But now when we're talking, you can show yourself the training. When I see or hear, even I can hear people telling me a story, and I can hear if they're fibbing. It's in their tone. I can quite frankly hear it. Um, I can also hear it in words, spoken word, of course. And but anyone can do that. It's like a testable, learnable thing. It's very simple. If you can count them to 9, understanding that you're the input and the output, you got it covered. It's not very complicated. But then you just apply it to everything, and then you got it all figured out. You're like boom, boom, boom. And like I say, that has nothing to do with the spirit, that idea. That has just, because you have to prove it to the physical bodies out here. So that's meant to show you how to prove it to them. Because once you're in the spirit, if you're in the spirit of God, you're being trained by somebody qualified beyond anyone here. All right. So you're going to be shown things that only you can express, and maybe a different way than I can express it. You might express it in art or something else, which I do a lot of art as well, because I find that I can do, I did a 3-part video that kind of expresses the idea of an idea coming into bloom from nothing. And always think of a white screen, not a, like when you blank your mind, think of a white screen, not a black screen. It's very hard to paint on a black screen. So kind of white screen. And I bring the idea of a thought all the way through manifestation into corruption and into showing you the hat, basically the container, all the way through. And it goes through and it shows the serpent coming from nothing, from a plane into the tree, becoming sound, enveloping the butterfly, which is the mind, fluttering around, all just listening to all these people. And then it gets captured by the tone. And then the man in the background who is just watching, just observing, because he thinks he has no power, because he thinks he cannot find the truth, like he's been told, is just bouncing. And then he becomes corrupted because this then attaches. And guess what happens? He starts to get ugly. Yeah, he gets ugly. He gets totally ugly. He gets like a little Hitler stash. Anyways, so then the hat kind of moves up, because this is like a drawing that I'm doing, and I'm taking pictures at each step so you see it building. And then the hat, which then represents the wet cell electromagnetic environment, envelops him, and he looks like nothing like but a head floating on a plate or a platter, which is a tree, which is attached to the butterfly, which is being eaten by the serpent's flies, right? And then that hat then, that envelopment moves up above his head and becomes his hat. And then his mind opens up and the yellow opens. The yellow is the idea of the fallen light, or the fallen 3, right? The yellow opens, it goes into him, and then then the hat gets folded up, and it shows you that it's a top hat with a serpent's head coming out. That's how and it's 2 drawings, but I had to combine it, but I combine it into one, because the first drawing is the shadow of the egg, or the idea of that idea that's about to hatch. It breaks open and you see the eye, the 9, the eyeball moving, and then it projects out a container, which then opens out 4 legs that spell news or direction. Then you go into that, and it goes into the second picture. And I put it to David Sanborn. So I put it to 3 songs. So one's like a real easygoing instrumental to bring you in. then 2 David Sanborn jazzy tunes. There's no talking. It's just the art showing unfolding. And I definitely suggest you take a spliff or something first. Yeah, you'll enjoy it. But it's really just what we talked about, just in art, just coming through. And then once that hat is enveloped, and you can kind of see that it was nothing, it's just the cat in the hat idea. Chuck it. It's done. You're out of there. Yeah.
Wow, Dave, man, we've got to have you back on again.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
We definitely got to do this again, because this has been awesome. Just I haven't done much talking because I'm just taking it all in, everything that you're saying, and so much of it is making sense.
Yeah.
It's resonating.
Yeah,
I can't
hope
wait
it is
to take
for
you on a trip, man. I can't wait to take you to Mexico. Actually,
Yeah.
I'm going to take you to Mexico. I'm going to take you over to Giza. All right. I'm going to take you to the Vatican. I'm going to take you all over. And
Love
we're gonna bust all these idols. And I
love it.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do a comedy too. I hope. I mean, you be the judge.
I love it. Yeah, we're having you back. We're gonna go down all those roads, and I'd love to smash all those idols. I'd love, because I mean that's what we've been about this entire time. The whole reason we've started this show is to examine a lot of these things, a lot of these physical things, a lot of these conspiracies throughout time and history, and just debunk them, for lack of a better word. And just show that they're not what we've been told.
Right,
that's kind of always been our thing.
And that's the thing. It's like I think from when we began the show 2 years ago, you can see my evolution of disappointment. Like I feel like I know it's true, but like that's what the fuck, come on. Like dinosaurs aren't real, but they're so cute looking.
Oh, I can't wait to show you my 3-part series on that, by the way.
Oh yeah.
No, because I have this character called Pompo, and he's like my sidekick character. Anyways, you'll hear him, and it's just some funny. So I have a 3-part series on the dinosaurs, I call them. Dinosaurs. Yeah, it's
awesome.
Funny.
Love it. I just, before we wrap up, I want to say thank you. And I want to send you love, because I have felt so much love from you, and I've been trying to just wrap my love so you can feel it too in your family.
I've enjoyed you guys are fun. It's like I've known you a long time already.
That's what it feels like.
It does feel like that.
So, and I also want to thank Eyes, because he was the one who got us connected. And that when we spoke with him, it was the same thing. It was like as if we've known each other forever, and we just we're catching up.
Yeah. You know how we were introduced? He responded to a John LeBon. And I've known him since 2014 when he ran with a Jeff C crowd. I've always been the skunk in the room, just so you know. I've always been this. In fact, my first Sandy Hoax video was called "Skunk at the Garden Party." All right, because I was busting it as it was playing. I was like, nobody died, nobody got hurt. Yeah. So anyways, I've known him for a long time. But anyways, Eyes went ahead and responded with a number. And I was just cruising through, and I said, I'm going to respond to that. And this is a lesson, because everything that's happened from that moment, the 2 podcasts I started, this tonight, all came from that interaction. I talked back to him. I gave him an interesting little rundown on with numbers. All right. And once he responded back, the rest is history, obviously. And that's where we're at now. And I'm glad that I was able to talk about this stuff, because now you can put a face to the ideas, because I know a lot of times I put out things, I want to put out as much as I can, and they only give you a little space. But I also know you have to be succinct, because people can lose interest, or not so much interest, but capacity quite quickly. Because this is all energy. And so you have to build your capacitance up. You have to be able to hold the charge. All right. So it takes a while to build it, but don't release it into rabbit holes that will rob your time. You will, just hold it, just keep it.
Yeah.
All right. And you're going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And pretty soon this place is sand beneath your feet. I'm telling you, you're walking on this place. You walk above everything. You walk on water. You're teaching is what you're doing. And you're teaching the truth of Christ. And I always want to bring it back to that because that's who saved my life, quite honestly. Because all of this would not have happened at that moment. Back then, when I was thinking this, I would have lost my wife. And I can't do that. Because I told her just earlier today, I said, we're one. You know, we're doing this together.
It's awesome.
All right.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love
It's
it.
Good
good
stuff.
times,
Dave, where
yeah.
can people find you on
Um,
social media? Do you have a website or anything like that? that you wanna-
Well, I tell you what, I just do the Twitter really for right now. If you
Okay.
put it on like the thing, and
Yep.
what I'll do is I have Discord, which is where I have a little over 200 some people in there already.
Oh, great.
Discord,
Okay.
and that's really a good place to go. Bill Gates, the character, Microsoft bought it, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I hope it doesn't go away because I have so much work on there, talking about the stuff we talk about
Okay.
under so many categories. I mean, they can be there for a very long time, but there's the people I keep it there are all of light, meaning I don't put up with no nonsense. Just come there to learn and exchange, and you're good. And there's so much there though, and I have a lot of friends there now, and I've never expected to have. And so they're welcome to be there. That's fully open and free to anyone. And
Great.
everything I put out is yeah. I also have a Philippines project tab in there where they can keep an eye on the work my wife and I are doing in the Philippines. In fact, our barrio, I have videos on showing you this area too. Our barrio over there, the area that we've kind of built up, is officially on the map now. Just so you know, and they're having the fiesta this week. So I was able to. We sent over money for rice, basically rice, things like that, because this area is very poor. Let's just say, when I first saw it with my wife, I said, because my family was living on like grass in a grass hut, literally with dirt floors. I say, when I can do something, we're doing something, and that's where all this started, like that side of it. So that's been a long time, over 20 plus years doing it. But then with that experience, I did the 2016 thing I told you about, living over there, and that's where it really kind of brought in the living without power and water for that, because we just had a hand pump and we had a generator. That was it. So I lived for a year like that. Yeah, it taught me a lot. I mean, we went back and forth to where there was power in some of the local cities, but it taught me a lot. It taught me how to. I was being shown by God how to be humble spiritually, but He was showing me how to be humble physically. Oh, and I can tell you some story about that day. I know we're going kind of long, so but one day we can talk about the Philippines experience.
Yes, I would love
absolutely.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I
we're
mean,
gonna have you back on a lot.
yeah.
Yes.
I
Oh
just have
yeah.
a feeling we're
Yes.
gonna be talking a lot.
Yes.
All right, for sure
You're
then.
always
Awesome.
welcome.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
Awesome.
so
Thank
cheers.
you. Cheers
Yeah.
to you.
Dave, thanks very
Thank
much, man. We'll talk to you
you.
again soon, okay?
Okay. Yep.
All
We'll
right.
talk to you soon. All
All
right.
right.
Bye-bye.
Take
Yeah.
care. Bye-bye. All right. So we are back.
Yes.
That was Dave J. And I loved the conversation. I mean, we talked about a lot of stuff. We went in a lot of different directions. I feel like we didn't get into like conspiracies and all that kind of stuff that we normally talk about as much as I honestly thought we were going to. But I think I even mentioned it in the interview that I didn't talk as much as I normally would. I wasn't really interjecting much because there was so much stuff that he was saying that I was just taking it in. Yeah, I was just taking it in and trying to process a lot of it as well. It did help that I had the he made a little ebook called Code of Creation, and I believe if you follow him on Twitter, you'll be able to find, he's tweeted it out before, and that's where I found it. I just downloaded it, printed it out. I was just actually explaining to Monique, I need stuff like printed. I need
tangible
I need
stuff.
paper in my hand. I can't just look at it on a screen. But one of the things, I'm sorry,
I was
go
just
ahead.
going to say before you do that, with Code of Creation, when I looked at it, I felt some of it was over my head, like some of it resonated, but after speaking with him, it made more sense for me.
I fully read through it. A lot of it made sense, but some of it I wasn't getting. And then when he was talking about explaining it, everything he said to me made sense because I had read this and already kind of had an idea of what he was talking about. So I definitely recommend checking that out. We'll put his Twitter in the show notes and everything. So definitely go follow him on Twitter. And like I said, you can find that there. Just scroll his feed and his timeline, and you'll find it. Um, but yeah, one of the things that I actually mentioned to you earlier, before we began recording this again, was that I found myself having that internal struggle a little bit with when he would say the word Christ or God, not because I don't believe in that or anything like that, not that, but just because of the lifelong, I guess, negative connotation that religion has had and the practice of religion has had for me. So I found myself, and I found myself having to tell myself, hey, okay, just listen to what he's saying. And it happened a couple of times, and then by the end I was fine. I was fine with it. But I'll tell you right now, I know just from this conversation was evidence to me of how much I personally have grown as a person, spiritually, mentally, just over the last few years. Because 5 years ago, Alex, I would have, the wall would have been up right away as soon as I heard that word. As soon as I heard the word Christ or God, I would have been wall up. Don't want to hear anything else. Done. That's just being honest. That's
Well,
I'm,
that's what we
and
want to give
that's
the truth.
yeah. And I've always been about honesty, so I'm being honest. I would have put up that wall. So if you listen to the entire interview and you made it to this point where we're talking now, thank you. Good for
Thank
you.
you.
Awesome for having an open mind, for being willing to listen. Just
Mm.
listen. You don't have to
For
agree.
being open. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you. You don't have to agree with everything that was said
Mhm.
or anything that was said at all. But the fact that you were open minded enough to listen and to just allow it to penetrate your mind, your defense, your walls of
Yeah.
defense that you put the we as people put up. I kudos to you for listening,
Yeah.
and hopefully you got something out of it. I sure did.
Yeah.
I definitely did. And it's just, again, like I said in the intro, nothing but love from that guy. That's all I felt. I didn't feel any kind of ill will, any animosity, no deception of any kind. He's speaking the truth as
Mhm.
he sees it, as he knows it. And I appreciate that. And so much of what he said resonates with me. And I even said to you after, I'm gonna have to go listen to this a couple of times just
Yeah.
to go back and really kind of absorb everything that was said,
Yeah.
because there was so many things, so many knowledge bombs dropped, and just it was just a one of my favorite conversations that we've had. And that's what we do here now. I mean, we when we have guests, we just have conversations, and we really meet and talk to some great people.
Yeah. We
We
do.
really do.
We do.
So we just hope that everybody enjoys the conversations and listening to them as much as we enjoy having them.
And I just wanted to say a few things too about this conversation we just had. So I feel like I'm still processing a lot. I was like just trying to absorb it all and take it in, but there was so much that resonated with me. And like I said before, like, oh Christ. And it's like, well, okay, well, that word's not vibing with me, but the feel like the word itself in my ears wasn't vibing, but the feeling I got from it, I knew. And I'm like, oh, source. So, because I think, again, growing up Catholic, you get like the words kind of leave a bad taste in your mouth. So, and I'm trying to work on that so it does not bother me. And, it's just like, okay. And I, like in a short amount of time, I've gotten a lot better. And like I'm processing it, but the feeling, and that's what I'm big on. Anyone who listens to our show, I am all about the feeling. And I think that you can say whatever words, but it's your energy. It's the feeling you get and the feeling you give. And the feeling the whole time that I was speaking with him, and we were speaking with him, I felt love. I felt so much love. And it was nice. It was just like, wow. And it was almost like we were having our verbal conversation, but I also feel like it was an energetic, I can't say the word.
Like an energetic exchange.
Yes.
Yes.
Like, like an exchange conversation. Yeah. Again, me with putting my feelings into words like, like if you're watching, I'm just like throwing my hands and fingers out because it's
You're
just,
an expressive talker.
I am an thank you. I'm an expressive talker. Because I think sometimes feelings don't always translate to words, and you try to find the best words to explain it, but it doesn't do it justice. But yes, it was like two different conversations almost, because like a lot of stuff was sinking. And then sometimes it was just more of like the energy feeling of something didn't quite compute in my mind. Mm-hmm. I felt the energy. And I had mentioned to you after we stopped recording and before we recorded this part, there were times where I thought, well, here we go with the absolution because of the way he was, like what he was saying. And I was like, but I don't like absolution. But then I stopped and I'm like, well, there's a word. What he's saying, like the things he's saying, which in my mind are coming off as, I get what he's saying, but it still kind of seems like the words are so absolute. But it kind of made sense with what he was saying. But I was like, well, what am I feeling? And I went back to like when I had that little revelation of like the Star Wars and the good versus evil, and my side's better and my side's good and righteous. And no, my side's better. And I didn't get that. It was just love. And it was like trying to like show a way, like show the way of, hey, it's not about, to me, it wasn't about being right or wrong. And I don't know if I'm using the right words, but like how my mind is processing it. It was more of just like, this is what it is, kind of like numbers. I guess you could say numbers are absolute because like, does math lie? It is what it is.
It is what it is, right?
Numbers are numbers and exactly. Math is math. And if you do this formula, 1 + 1 is always 2. So trying to just switch my perspective, like just adjust it a little bit. But yeah, I'm definitely processing.
I think I really enjoyed how he puts everything, and how what he says is test.
Yeah.
Just test everything. Go out and test for yourself. Which is, I mean, along the lines of what we always say: do your own research. Yeah. If you don't believe something, or if you don't think something or feel something, and again, that word believe, which I myself try not to use anymore if I can. Yeah, go out and test for yourself, and then you'll know the truth. If you test it for yourself, you'll know. And I really that made a lot of sense to me. And something he said in one of his podcasts that I actually tweeted out a little bit ago, a quote that I attributed to him: the truth has no expiration date. So it may not make sense to you now, but you can always go back to it.
And I feel like that's part of the journey, because I've said it a million times, we're not all on the same path in terms of like we're like where we are in our journey. We're not all at the same place.
Right.
We're at different points, and we get to where we need to be at different times. And so just because something, I mean, look at me, a decade ago compared to me now. I'm a different person, and I feel differently and think differently. I'm less restricted. We all change. We all grow.
Hopefully.
So when you say that, it resonates, because thinking about some things me 10 years ago, I wouldn't be in the mindset I'm at today. And I feel like it's because I went through everything I went through to bring me to this point that I can absorb it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And again, I'll just go back to his quote: the truth has no expiration date. Yeah. So if it's the truth, it'll make sense to you either now or whenever you're ready for it.
And I'll always be there.
It'll always be, exactly. It'll always be there.
Yeah.
The sun will rise tomorrow.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Yeah. And I just want to say, like, with the loving energy I felt, and we've talked about how it's like, it's about love.
Yeah.
So I believe I've said it before. I think I have. I've put it out there before. I'm going to say it again. For everyone watching, for everyone listening, whether I know you or if I don't, it doesn't matter. I love you. And if you feel like you haven't been told that before, or you don't get told it enough, I want you to feel the beauty inside yourself and feel the love I'm sending to you. What?
I don't really know how to add to that or make it any better. I can't add to that and top that in any way. I get to live with this woman.
I'm sorry.
I get to call her my wife, and I am the luckiest man alive.
Oh, thanks, Steve. I love you.
Not just for the show. I feel that way.
And I feel the same about you.
Thank you. So we'll link up Dave J's social media stuff.
Yes. All of his links, we'll have it there for you.
Yep,
yes.
100%.
So check it out for yourself.
Yeah, check out his
Yes,
stuff. I
and
mean,
then
he's
do your
got
own
a lot of
research.
great stuff out there, and he's been putting out videos and he's made plenty of podcast appearances.
And he's been taken down too. Yeah.
That should tell you something right there. So definitely check him out. And you heard us at the end of the interview. We're going to have him back on, and we're going to go down a couple of these rabbit holes, hopefully not too deep. And
check out his podcast too.
Yes. And I'm going to put links in the show notes for those as well. So check out his stuff, man. And I got to tell you, like, just when he was talking about his wife, oh my gosh, if you're listening, please just go watch if you can, and just see. You want to see true love. You want to see a person light up when they talk about their loved one, like that right there. Wow.
The love, like,
it's like,
for those watching, it's like I felt like I was like floating up out of my chair.
It was awesome. Yeah. It was awesome to see. And if you're somebody that's never gotten to feel that, man, I can't wait till you do, because it's I mean, that's how I feel about my wife, and I could just see it, somebody else that feels the same way about their wife. It's just awesome stuff. Great stuff. So how can people find us on social media, my lady? Twitter, right?
At Homewrecker Pod.
Mine's
I think
probably going to be just Twitter from now on.
Twitter.
I think so. Twitter.
Yeah.
And our website,
homewreckerpodcast.com.
That's right. And how can people find you personally on social media?
You can find me on Twitter at _Monique Giselle with 1 L _. I have an Etsy shop, Wonders by Monique. And when you search on Etsy, you have to put it all together. They don't let you have spaces in the shop name. So Wonders by Monique, because that came up before. And I have a website, tarotbymonique.com. And how can people find you, my love?
I also am on Twitter at @TheAlexArion, and I have a website that still unable to update, which is fantastic. But if you want to check it out, it's alexarionfitness.com. Got a couple of things on there that might be helpful if you're trying to get in shape, trying to make sense of the whole health and wellness stuff. And funny, we actually talked a little bit about some of that stuff with Dave as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, check that out as well. And when I can finally post and update it, it's gonna get revamped. big time. Yeah. There's a big revamp and update coming to that site as well. So check all that out if you can. And if you're listening, please leave us a 5-star review. Subscribe as well. We appreciate that. It helps the visibility of the show, helps get more people listening, helps more people find us. So anything you can do to help us in that regard, we greatly appreciate it. And any new listeners, welcome. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you're enjoying all the content that we put out.
Thank you to everyone who listens and watches.
Absolutely. And if you're watching on YouTube or Brighteon or Odyssey,
please subscribe.
And
like.
Yeah, and feel free to leave comments as well. We try to get back to everybody as much as we can. So on that note,
Sending our love and gratitude. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. We hope wherever you are happy, healthy. And until next time, I am the Golden Greek, Alex Arion, joined as always by my beautiful, lovely, gorgeous, amazing trophy wife, the lovely Monique.
And you've been listening to the Homewrecker podcast.